right there is what we call an oldie. And if I'm honest with you, we were calling that an oldie when I was a kid. So if you're still a little bit younger than me, what do we even call that now? We are going all the way back 61 years to this day in 1964 when the Supremes became the first all-girl group to have a number one single on the UK charts. Baby Love went to the top of the charts. It was written and produced by Motown's main production team, Holland Dozier Holland. And it was the second of 5 Supremes songs in a row to go number one in the U.S. But on this day, November the 19th, 1964, all the way to number one in the UK, the first all-girl group to do that. A little bit of Baby Love to start our show together on this Wednesday morning. Hey, thanks very much for stopping by. My 9 a.m.ers, I don't mean to play favorites, but gosh, when you start with me right at the beginning of the day, it just puts that wind in our sails. You know our phone lines are open the second we begin the show. This is always interactive. It's the most interactive radio show you'll find anywhere in this region. Love the conversations we have with you throughout the day. And we're here until 1, so feel free to participate. We've got a lot to get into. I want to start, if I may, by going back to last night. I don't mean to rehash old news, but I'll tell you, I took it on the chin during our Kitchener Rangers post-game show, Rangers Talk, last night. And in fairness, I think I'm self-aware enough to recognize I deserved it. But I thought because I took it on the chin so harshly last night during Rangers Talk, I would bring it back to the show this morning. We got a really nice call. Well, I mean, I felt it was a nice call on the show yesterday before 10 o'clock. Eric gave us a call and said this.
Good morning, Mike. I know how to solve the financial and all that for our Waterloo region. First, get rid of Waterloo Regional Council. Amalgamate the cities. Elect you as Grand Poobah.
Now, see, I think that's really nice because I've said this before. The only way I will ever run for political office is if they create the position of Grand Poobah in the newly amalgamated region of Waterloo. And when that Grand Poobah position becomes available, I will consider seeking office for that position and that position only. Which brings me back to last night. So I have to warn you, as kind as you are, Eric, and your support of me for Grand Poobah, let me tell you some of the things that will happen if or when I become Grand Poobah of the newly amalgamated Waterloo. The number one thing that will happen is the wave will be banned at all sporting events in the region of Waterloo. I will implement a bylaw banning the wave. You muckety-mucks at the Kitchener Rangers game last night started the wave. What are you doing? It was a 1-goal game. You're supposed to pay attention to the game on the ice. I think the wave is the ultimate sign of fan boredom. I don't like it. I think it's dumb. So when I become Grand Poobah, I will implement legislation to ban the wave in every arena and at every sporting event. That's thing number one. I've got more. The other thing I will do when or if I am Grand Poobah of the newly amalgamated Waterloo, I will end the practice and service of curbside loose leaf collection. It will be over. No more of that nonsense. And because of all the money I will save, or we will save as a community, because we stop sending out heavy machinery to clean up the leaves that we should be cleaning up ourselves as property owners. Come on with your coming on. Every home will be given a rake, maybe 2. Because you see, a rake does the job just fine to get those leaves into piles to put them into bags. And number 3, the third thing I will do when or if elected Grand Poobah of the newly amalgamated Waterloo, I will ban your leaf blower. No more of those nonsensical pieces of machinery. All they do is make noise. They don't do anything a rake can't do. Remember a minute ago when I just told you I'm going to give every home a rake because I'm going to save money by stopping curbside leaf collection? Yeah, that. Everybody gets a rake. Nobody's allowed to have a leaf blower. And the fines for breaking that bylaw will be so astronomical, I'll be able to buy every home 2 or 3 rakes. So, again, Eric, you were so kind, thinking that I could be the grand poobah of the newly amalgamated Waterloo. But be warned. Those 3 things are happening. No more of the goofy wave at sporting events. No more curbside loose leaf collection. No more leaf blowers. I guess I don't know why I was cranky last night. The Rangers won. I love when the Rangers win. But I was picking on the fans a little bit for doing the wave. You do it if you want to. I just don't happen to like it. So I spouted off a little bit, and on the Rangers Talk post-game show, you came at me, and you came at me hard. It was like doing the daytime talk show at the hockey arena. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to bring back a little bit of that to the show this morning and just let you know, if you are so bold as to elect me Grand Poobah, brace yourself, because I promise you, and I will not break a promise to you, not today, not ever, those 3 things are happening. Legislation to ban the wave, end curbside loose leaf collection, and ban leaf blowers. All of those things would happen. Speaking of things happening, out of curiosity, how hard do you think it is, if you are a municipal councillor, to vote yourself a raise? I mean, it's a bit of a technicality here. It's actually a committee that recommends the raise, but you must accept the report, vote in favor of it so that the raises are implemented in the next term of council. How difficult a process do you think that would be, to sit there publicly and say, we are voting on this report that says we get a 32% raise? Let me demonstrate for you how difficult and or easy that process is.
We're on to consent motion. Council, did anyone want to remove anything from consent? Seeing none, is there someone looking to move the consent motion? Moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Roach. All in favor? That's carried unanimously.
I'm sorry, what? That's carried unanimously? The consent motion is carried unanimously? You see, what the consent motion was at Waterloo City Council on Monday night was the report that recommended the 32% raise for councillors. That's what the consent motion was. It's on the consent agenda. Look, we've gone over this enough, but here's the thing, and I'm not trying to reach around and pat myself or ourselves in media on the back, but if you are just a casual observer of a municipal council meeting, would you have had any idea what this was about?
We're on to consent motion. Council, did anyone want to remove anything from consent? Seeing none, is there someone looking to move the consent motion? Moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Roach. All in favor? That's carried unanimously.
Move the consent motion? So what I'm just trying to say here is, if not for local media that was paying attention to the agenda when it was posted, saw the report that was coming to Waterloo Council and reported on it so that we had the discussion even before the council meeting, nobody would have known what was happening. That very quickly, that's a 15-second clip. That's how long it took Waterloo Council to unanimously approve the report that recommended they get a 32% raise beginning in the next term. No discussion. You didn't even know what the report was entitled. It's just the consent agenda. Just like that. That, my friend, is how easy it is, if you are a municipal councillor, to vote in favor of your own raise in the next term. Have you ever tried negotiating with your manager for a raise at work? Did it take you more than 15 seconds? Did you bring in the report negotiating your own raise, put it on the boss's desk and say, do you vote in favor of this consent agenda? Anyway, thought I'd share that with you. And one more quick thing. You may have heard that the city of Kitchener is asking for our help, and we are here to help, right? In fact, you don't have to help because I have the answer. I don't mean to take the work away from you because I know you want to participate fully in your community. but the city of Kitchener is asking for our help in naming its first electric Zamboni. I mean, I can only imagine how creative we'll get in helping the city of Kitchener name its first electric Zamboni. But I have the name for you that should absolutely, without question, be applied. There is no discussion on this. It's like the consent agenda at Waterloo Council. The name of Kitchener's first electric Zamboni should be Olympia. You see what I did there? Because the Olympia ice resurfacing machine is made in Elmira, like part of the region of Waterloo, right? And we are all about local, support local, procure locally, etc. And yet, the city of Kitchener wants us to help name its first electric Zamboni, which is a competitor to the same ice resurfacing machine, actually the better ice resurfacing machine that's made right here in the region of Waterloo. Dear Kitchener, name your electric Zamboni Olympia. End of story. Can we pass that consent motion unanimously? I raised my hand. It's a jury of one today. I stamped it, no erases. Name the Zamboni Olympia. I don't think there's a better name you could possibly come up with. Just ahead of our Farwell Show 5 this morning, let's go to the phones. They're always open. Al is with us this morning. Good morning, Al.
Good morning, Mike. You said it. You started it off with
yes, sir.
The leaves again.
I got it all.
I had to jump in.
Bring it on, buddy.
I asked you a couple of years ago, did you phone Miller, the environmental, the people that pick up the leaves in the bags? You never did ask them how much extra they would charge to pick up. And last year, the city of Cambridge...
They're already doing it, Al. They already come by and do it. It's
They're not picking up 2,200 tons of leaves that the city picks up on the curbs. That's what it amounted to last year.
Okay.
So when you get that price, let me know.
Okay.
And we'll compare it.
All right, Al.
Because it ain't going to happen.
Al, do me a favor. Stop raking your leaves to the side of the road. Come on now.
You know where I live.
I know where you live.
Like, how many bags do you think I have?
I don't care.
You don't care?
No.
How many bags do you put out? 2, 3, 4 bags?
0.
0 bags. Your wife does it.
No, Al, come on now.
Your wife does it.
No, she does not. I leave the leaves where they fall.
Oh, well, okay.
Okay.
If I left mine where they fell, I would have 6 to 8 inches of leaves sitting there.
Just think of how happy your soil would be.
No, it won't, Mike. You may cut lawn, but you don't know how to grow it. So talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks, Al. Bye. Al gets so fired up with me about that, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it because we have to stop the goofiness. I will find out from Miller Waste how much more they would charge us to pick up they're already picking up at the curbside. So let's just see what happens there. Dave, also from Cambridge. I just revealed where Al lives. I know exactly where Al lives. Good morning, Dave.
Morning, Mike. First of all, congratulations on your 1 of your minutes of monologue. You addressed my question, which was going to be your insight and opinion on the machine, but you addressed it.
Which machine?
Very much.
The Olympia ice resurfacing machine?
Right.
Okay.
Now, but since you addressed it already, I want to congratulate you on 2 points.
Winning the vote for Grand Poobah?
No.
Okay.
First, opening the show with your Motown hits.
Love the Motown hits.
I love Motown.
Good.
And the second thing was congratulations on your broadcast last night and over the Kitchener's Rangers win last night after 3 losses. So congratulations all around. And you made my day by Motown song and and addressing the ice machine made locally, which I didn't see where it was made. That's why I was calling in. So I want to thank you very much, and you have a great day.
I will, Dave. I hope you have a great day, too. Look at that. I've made Dave's day already, and I've pissed off Al already. This is what you would call, in the talk radio world, the perfect day so far. We're making some people happy. We're making others less happy. because we're here for the conversation. You don't have to like everything, but we can talk about it. Farwell Show 5 time, number 1 on your list this morning. No more speed cameras, but Guelph is getting $675,000 to help slow traffic in school zones. That $675,000 is the city of Guelph's share of the $210 million fund announced by the province for traffic calming measures after banning speed cameras. Number 2, Wilmot Council has chosen 9 people to sit on a steering committee that will guide the next phase of the Prime Minister's Path project. According to a media release from the township, the committee and its advisors will oversee the reinstallation of the Prime Minister's Path statues and develop inclusive, historically grounded educational materials to accompany them. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Prime Minister Mark Carney is heading to Abu Dhabi. He'll be the first Canadian Prime Minister to visit the United Arab Emirates since the early 1980s. Carney is expected to meet with senior government and business leaders in the UAE, but he has no press conference scheduled in Abu Dhabi. His visit comes as Ottawa is trying to drum up investment from sovereign wealth funds and the private sector to help diversify Canada's economy in response to the U.S. trade war. Number 4, the CAA is launching its winter readiness campaign, reminding us of how to deal with poor conditions on the road. Among the recommendations from the CAA, install winter tires and drive according to weather conditions. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, when you hear an emergency signal on the radio later today, or you see it go off on your phone, do not worry, it's only a test. It's a test of our emergency broadcast system, aka Alert Ready. That test signal will be delivered at exactly 12:55 here in the region and clear across the province. It will go off simultaneously in provinces and territories today. Alert Ready is used for things like amber alerts and weather emergencies. You cannot opt out of them. So at 12:55 today, lucky you, Al, I'm going to be silenced. I will have to shut up. And then you'll get that alert on your phone or right here on the radio.
Shut up! Shut up! You don't tell me shut up. I tell you shut up.
That is your Farwell Show 5 for this Wednesday morning. Phone lines are busy. You got a lot on your mind today too, huh? We'll take your calls right after this very quick timeout on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Thanks to Sean for the email to mike@570news.com. One more piece of legislation I can enact when I achieve the role of Grand Poobah here in the region. Sean says I should ban raisins in butter tarts. I like where you're coming from, Sean. You can go get your raisins in Wellington County if you want, but here in the region of Waterloo, we will be blissfully raisin-free. And I thought of one more myself. I'll tell you what. Here's the other thing I'll do when I'm the Grand Poobah. Al, I'll come to your place. I'll rake your damn leaves for you. I'll show you how it can be done. Okay? I'll bag them. I'll rake them. I'll even take them to the leaf dump site in the region. I will do that for you when I am the Grand Poobah. You see how we get stuff done on this show? Let's go to the phones and hear from you. Paul, good morning.
Morning, Mike. This is my first time calling in with my new number. I'm 211, just so you're aware of who I am.
Farwell's Force official member. Good morning.
Yes, I wanted to keep it light on my first call in, but you have upset me greatly.
Uh-oh.
And I'll tell you why. A few weeks ago, you did a story on stopping at Tim Hortons and getting a muffin thrown at you that you didn't order, you didn't know what to get. So I've been going for physiotherapy for a few weeks because I hurt my shoulder. There happens to be a Tim Hortons right beside the physio place, and I stop and get a beverage for myself and my wife on the way home. A few weeks ago after your story, I ordered one of those said muffins, and now I've been having to get one every week I'm in there. And it upsets me terribly.
No, Paul, that cannot possibly upset you. You're fibbing to me this morning. That muffin was delicious. Hey, chocolate hazelnut?
They are unbelievable. They're good.
Attaboy, Paulie.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks, you too. I'm here to help, okay? I'm not necessarily helping your blood sugar levels or your cholesterol, but happiness is a chocolate hazelnut muffin from Tim Hortons. That's all I can tell you, to be honest. Tony, good morning.
Good Good morning, Mike. Just a quick comment. For all those people that were complaining that they took the cameras down, I just drove down Weaver Street by Sunnyside School in Eastwood, and just so you know, everybody was still dropping their speed at 40 kilometers an hour. So you don't always need Big Brother to look after you to do the right thing. So people are still dropping their speeds by school zones. Just thought I'd let you know.
Thanks for that, Tony. I appreciate it. I don't know if I shared my experience in Guelph on the weekend either, coming back from the Kitchener Rangers game a little after 10 o'clock. It's about 10:30 on Saturday night, and there was a community safety zone that I drove through on the way to and then back home from the game, which was a posted 40 kilometer per hour zone. And just like Tony said, I'll grant you anecdotal stories here, but I can corroborate Tony's story, what he just experienced in Kitchener outside Eastwood School. That community safety zone, 10:30 on a Saturday night in Guelph, hardly any traffic. There's three of us headed in the same direction, and we were all hanging around 45 or so in the posted 40 zone. No speed camera to police us, and we were still driving according to the posted speed limit. Imagine that. Imagine that. Francis, good morning.
Good morning. Now, I don't want you to hang up on me.
Oh, Francis, be careful then. Be careful.
There's one, we won't get into it about the butter tarts, okay? Because we can learn to disagree on that one. But anyways, the main best thing is we've known the couple for many, many, many years that developed the Olympia. And yes, that's the only name it should be given. And they're great people, known them for years.
Francis, that's an excellent point. The Schlupp family. Bunch of beauties right there. Tell you right now, those beauties, those Schlupp making those Olympia ice resurfacing machines. Name our new electric Zamboni in Kitchener. If you missed it earlier, Kitchener, name the ding-dang Zamboni Olympia. I thought we were supporting local these days. Do you know who makes an electric ice resurfacing machine? Resurf Ice in Elmira. It's called the Olympia. Check it out sometime. I did. Bunch of beauties over there, let me tell you. And Francis, you won't have to worry about the ban on raisins, because I happen to know you live out there in North Perth area. You can have your raisins in North Perth if you want them. But when I'm Grand Poobah in the newly amalgamated Waterloo, no raisins for your butter tarts. No raisins for you. All right, we're going to get you to the 570 News Center for an update. And then we're going to try to start sorting out what in HE double hockey sticks happened at that budget meeting of Cambridge Council the other night, because there were 8 councillors who were quite perplexed, frustrated, maybe even upset. And I'm trying to figure out how all of this happened. We'll get into that conversation next on the Mike Farwell Show this morning. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
A number of us submitted our amendments following the process that was outlined to us by the deadline, and we were notified on Friday afternoon that we could not bring our amendments forward because they did not meet the criteria. Following each of us reaching out to staff over the weekend and meeting with staff either virtually or in person today, we are now able to bring our amendments forward, which we're doing. But it's simply put us in a position where we are interrogating one another without having factual information that we would otherwise be able to get from staff. Because at no other time have we had a council meeting when we haven't been able to ask staff questions.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
And then, yet, that was the case at the Cambridge budget meeting on Monday night. Staff, as always, present at the meeting, but councillors, in efforts to bring forward amendments to the Strong Mayor's budget, were prohibited from getting any questions answered by staff. Just by way of comparison, and I said this to you yesterday, I've never seen a budget meeting work quite like that. And yesterday, so this was a meeting in Cambridge on Monday night at Cambridge Council. Yesterday, Regional Council dove into the budget. Part of the process, they didn't finalize it. Cambridge hasn't finalized its budget either, for the record. But these meetings happen so councillors can all have input, discussions can happen, etc. And at the regional budget meeting yesterday, all kinds of input from staff, all kinds of questions being answered by staff. But for some reason on Monday night in Cambridge, that was not the case. The voice you just heard was that of Corey Kimpson, Ward 3 councillor in Cambridge. She had expressed her concern with the way the process was playing out, and Councillor Kimpson joins our show this morning. Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for asking.
I'm glad to hear it. So that clip we just played was something that you said fairly early on in that meeting on Monday. Within the first hour, the meeting goes on for another hour and a bit still. Did your concerns get, diminished at all through that meeting? Were you as frustrated throughout the meeting as you were, as we heard in that clip? What was the meeting like?
Well, it was certainly a unique experience that we had never had before and that I certainly hope not to relive. Going into the meeting, it was quite concerning as we had prepared our amendments and were ready to present them to the fellow councillors. And we had learned, as indicated in the clip, that we weren't able to bring them as they didn't meet the criteria. So over the weekend, the other councillors and I worked together and contacted staff, and we had meetings with staff on Monday. And ultimately, we learned that the amendments could go forward, but with the caveat that staff wouldn't be speaking to them or wouldn't be available to answer questions, and that essentially as councillors, because we were the ones presenting the amendment, we sort of owned it, and it was up for us to provide all the information and answer the questions of our fellow councillors.
This is not the first Strong Mayor's budget process that you've gone through in Cambridge. You went through this last year too. What changed?
That's a good question. What seemed to change was a email that we received on Friday late afternoon when we were told that the amendments that we were bringing forward were not able to proceed at amendment meeting number 1. And what changed was the idea that they didn't meet the criteria. However, we weren't aware of what this criteria might be, and there was a presentation that was uploaded to the city's website on Friday afternoon in preparation for Monday's meeting, where it was a sort of a review of the Strong Mayor process under the legislation. And one of the points that was there indicated that Council can make changes to the proposed budget, but must do so formally through amendments, which we all did using the form by the prescribed date and time, but they had added in bold in consultation with staff. So the idea that if a councillor didn't specifically meet with or consult with staff on their particular amendment, it wasn't being permitted to go forward.
Would staff, when that exchange happened, let's say you follow that procedure, you consult with staff, would staff have then had the opportunity, Corey, to prevent in some way that amendment from being discussed at the council meeting?
I don't believe so, because ultimately as councillors, the legislation is clear. We're not required to consult with staff. And we as councillors and representatives of the community have the ability to bring amendments forward as long as we are following the procedure to bring them forward to discuss among the elected members of council. What is difficult here is we had a process that we had learned about on October the 14th when it was presented to council, and the recommendation that the process be received and that we direct the statutory time periods to be shortened as outlined in the report and the amendment period. So we agreed to that on October 14th. This idea of additional criteria in consultation with staff was changed partway through the process. And that's, I think, what I and other councillors had difficulty with. You don't change the rules halfway through the game.
How would you characterize Monday's budget meeting? Was it productive?
I think eventually it might have been somewhat productive, as once we brought up the concern that about not being able to speak to staff, partway through the meeting, the decision was made that staff could answer questions. However, not all staff were present at the meeting. It was just the corporate leadership team. We didn't have any of the senior management team or any of the people that really had the specialized details of all of the projects. So for us, I think we were able to clear the air. We were able to clarify that we can, in fact, bring amendments forward without consulting with staff. And I want to be clear, we're not avoiding staff. They specialize in their areas, and they're a huge asset to us. But the fact that the requirement was changed partway through and an amendment that I had put forward following the prescribed procedure wasn't being allowed to move forward at the First Amendment meeting, that was the problem. So I don't believe that peppering each other with questions, and we had been provided with a list of prompting questions, which is also very new. Never at a council meeting have I been given prompting questions to ask my fellow councillors about things. The idea that we were just supposed to sort of go back and forth and pick apart each other's amendments didn't seem like a great way to move forward as a cohesive council.
In the past, Corey, when you have deliberated budgets for the city of Cambridge, have those upper management, senior level management staff members been in attendance at the council meetings?
Absolutely. When we would have a council meeting, the gallery is full. It's full of staff, and there's an awful lot of people in the room. They are there in the event that we have a question and we need clarification, so that when we are making decisions, we have the accurate information available to us at the time that we need to make the decision.
Process aside, and the frustration that you've expressed from Monday's meeting, do you, as the Ward 3 councillor in Cambridge, have any concerns with the budget as it is presented today? Anything that you would like to see changed? Anything that comes up to you as a red flag?
Well, I did bring forward two amendments. One to remove a brand renewal from the budget. It's $208,000, and the idea would be a consultant would be hired to develop a new brand for the city of Cambridge. We do have multiple logos out on various city assets. However, I don't feel at this time, when we know affordability it's top of mind for so many people, we don't need to spend $208,000 to hire a consultant, which would also take staff time to oversee the consultant. And then once we complete this project, then we have to actually disseminate it through all of our assets. So that's not something that we need to do. The logo that we have to represent our community isn't going to determine our well-being. There was another one for the Civic Facility Space Study, where we would be looking at the various city buildings where staff are working and looking to see where we have space as we grow. That's $101,000 and scheduled to start in January of 2026, wrapping up in December of 2026. And I felt that at the very least, that's something that perhaps should be paused until the new recreation complex opens in late 2026, because we'll have staff working there. And let's get everybody in and settled. And then let's look at who's working where, how are people moving between buildings. And again, it's not a requirement. Some of the other projects that other councillors brought forward as their amendments were replacement of production equipment for the old post office. The current equipment still works. We don't need to spend $624,000. The festival space, an outdoor festival space, which is in there for $750,000. Again, we don't know what this festival space is going to be. There hasn't been any explanation as to what it's going to be, how it's going to work. So it wouldn't be prudent for myself, or in my opinion, anyone else, to say, oh yeah, go spend the money. Let's look into this if we don't even know what we're spending the money on. And then, of course, there is the Soper Park pool for $10.7 million. And again, I'm a huge advocate of outdoor pools. However, we do have the new rec complex opening, and $10.7 million is a lot to swallow right now.
This meeting from Monday night, Corey, has generated a lot of conversation, most of it around the frustrations that you've shared here this morning. What would your message be to Cambridge residents who might be concerned themselves now about this budget and the process that the city is going through? Where are we going from here to arrive at a budget that would be palatable to council and to residents of the city of Cambridge?
I would implore Cambridge residents to please, please, please pay attention to what is going on in their community. I try very hard to put factual posts on my social media to encourage people to attend any sort of open house, workshop, online survey, any attempt that we have to engage people. I encourage people strongly. There was a budget survey completed, and there were 265 participants who completed it. Out of the entire population of the city of Cambridge, 265 people. And that's hardly representative. People in the community need to be following what we are doing at council. We need to make it available and easy for people to follow. We need to answer their questions. And a great deal of it is procedural and not all that exciting. But this is where the decisions are made that affect their lives and the lives of their family. And we need people to be involved and reach out to their councillors when they have questions, when they have feedback, because at the end of the day, I'm there to represent people and I need to hear what they want.
Corey, I appreciate you making time for the show this morning. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike. Have a super day.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Corey Kimpson is the Ward 3 councillor in the city of Cambridge, sharing her frustrations, helping us understand better the process of going through these budget deliberations in Cambridge, if in fact there are any deliberations, because I watched that meeting on Monday. I've shared this with you already. I've never seen a budget meeting transpire in that manner, ever. It was very odd. Councillors asking questions of one another. These questions just kind of hung in the air because there was nobody on staff who either would or could answer them. Again, it goes directly opposite to what we saw at the regional level yesterday when they had a budget deliberation. Staff was fully involved in the conversation. Very strange right now. I'll let you know. And what it looked like to me, again, just as an observer, and I've attended a few and covered a few municipal council meetings in my day. But it appeared very clear that there were 8 councillors on one side of the budget issue and a mayor and a city manager on the other side. And it was like those 8 against those 2. It was a very strange dynamic. As an observer, that's what I saw. So you hear from Councillor Kimpson this morning. I'll let you know that Mayor Jan Liggett and City Manager Rob Axiak are going to join me on the show tomorrow morning, and we'll try to learn from them about their perspective on what the heck happened at this budget meeting in Cambridge on Monday night. Your thoughts always welcome on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This idea of additional criteria in consultation with staff was changed partway through the process. And that's, I think, what I and other councillors had difficulty with. You don't change the rules halfway through the game.
That's Ward 3 councillor for Cambridge, Corey Kimpson, joining us to share her concerns, maybe some frustration with the way the budget meeting went in Cambridge on Monday night. Juxtapose that with the budget meeting at Regional Council yesterday, where there was robust discussion and plenty of input from staff who were present, including the Chief Financial Officer and the acting CAO. I wanted to share something with you from that budget meeting at the region yesterday, because I think Regional Councillor Doug Craig became all of us at the meeting when he said this.
What I would like to do at the appropriate time is to ask staff to come back and look at something under the 3% mark. We talk about affordability, but we don't have a balance here with regards to all the budget items, all the increases, all the things we're providing, then balancing that off with the community with regards to affordability. We're not really getting into that. Before we make final decisions, I would like a short presentation from staff on regards to the affordability issues in the region of Waterloo, what taxpayers are facing. And that then gives balance to what we're trying to do or to our propensity to move ahead and perhaps reduce the budget. I just want to give you just a few examples. 38% living in housing that is unaffordable. That's what's going on right now with regards to people out there who are spending more than 30% of their income on housing. 75% of people, housing is out of reach. Waterloo region is noted as one of the most expensive places in Canada to rent. Living wage is $23 an hour, but the minimum wage is far below that. 62% of the population feel that the cost of living is way too high and are having a difficult time. 1 in 8 households, 12.5%, are struggling to afford food. The main groups being hit are millennials, seniors, renters, marginalized groups.
That is Regional Councillor Doug Craig at the budget meeting at the region yesterday. And I feel like I heard myself in some of those words when Councillor Craig was talking about the affordability pressures that many of us are feeling in this region, one of the highest places in Canada for rents, by one example. Wondered if the under 5%, 4.94%, that staff brought in the budget for as Regional Council begins deliberations could be brought down even further to 3%, targeting something much closer to inflation. Those deliberations, as they do in Cambridge, continue, and we will continue to follow those stories and let you know how much more it will cost you to live here next year. An update on the way from the 570 News Centre, and then as we do every Wednesday morning, we check in with our friends in Ottawa at the Blacklocks Reporter. Did you hear the one about the expenses filed by a London, Ontario MP for staff that weren't even present when the expenses were filed? We'll talk about that and more coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Every Wednesday morning at this time, we check in with our friends in Ottawa at the Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom that is covering our nation's capital with neither the politics nor the punditry. It is Tom Korski who is the managing editor there as we mind Ottawa's business on Wednesday mornings. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
I know this story goes back a little ways for you when you blew it open, but I have to go back to this morning because it really resonated here in our part of southwestern Ontario. This involves a London MP, the government house leader, in fact, who billed $174,000 for personnel expenses in just 9 days.
MP Kayabaga at London West, that's correct. We see that in public accounts. It's a very, frankly, unusual line item And the cost was exorbitant, $174,000 billed for personnel in 9 days. Problem, as government House Leader, MP Kayabaga had no duties because there was no House. The Parliament had been prorogued, and there had not been any House business for months. Problem, also that MP Kayabaga attended one brief cabinet meeting after her swearing-in and drove back to London. And she spent the entire period of her tenure as government House Leader in London, and she was putting out lawn signs and appealing for volunteers to door knock in a campaign that was called that Sunday, her last Sunday as government House Leader. So we asked MP Kayabaga twice, never got a response. What's with $174,000 for personnel costs? Finally, the Privy Council declined comment. MP Kayabaga would not take questions. The new government House Leader, Steve McKinnon, an old-timer, said, no, it wasn't like that. It was all mysterious vacation pay charges. And we had to ask repeatedly, these people weren't working on the campaign, were they? Were they paid volunteers at a public charge? That's a big deal, by the way, Mike. That breaks so many ethics violations and Treasury Board rules. A very mysterious charge. MPs have asked in the House of Commons, opposition members have said, can we just get the line item? The line item spending for those 9 days when MP Kayabaga was government House Leader and Cabinet has said drop dead. And there we are.
There we are indeed, but I'm connecting dots here, Tom, and I don't think it's too much of a stretch to at least speculate that this became paid volunteers, if you will, paid staff in that case, for an election campaign. Come on.
Well, we always say that how often do we encounter this where the government will very vigorously say we did nothing wrong, and by the way, we're never going to do it again.
Oh, okay. Along those same lines, gosh, it must be expensive to lead the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission.
Pierre Tremblay is leading the life of Riley. He is appointed last year, he's from Whitby, appointed as president of the Nuclear Safety Commission, as you mentioned. That pays $343,000 a year. And within weeks of taking office, he started to run up expenses. In fact, he okayed an 85% increase in his expense budget to $185,000 a year because of his very important work. What sort of work, we might ask? Well, there were $14,000 business class junkets to France. He stayed at a resort hotel north of Marseille, a former hunting lodge, where they serve wild boar with gnocchi. So that's a good gig. No nuclear reactors there. There was $9,000 for a business class flight to Vienna. My favorite, though, was only losers take the train or, heaven forbid, get stuck in traffic. He lives in Whitby. He had routine meetings in Ottawa. So he would take a limo to Pearson and then the Porter flight to Ottawa 37 times. Because, as I mentioned, only the little people wait on train stations or stare at bumpers on the Queensway. His expenses were enormous. By the way, the $185,000 does not include $50,000 for an executive and housing allowance, end of quote. Why does this even matter? Why are we going through the minutiae of President Tremblay's expenses? Because Cabinet said this has to stop, Mike. The finance minister said we're tightening our belts, so help me. The prime minister has said we have to stop this stupid spending. But I know someone who didn't get that memo.
President Tremblay, perhaps?
It would be definitely.
See, I pay attention, Tom. I pay attention to your work there at Blacklocks. Okay, spending in the macro form here. The federal budget passes by the narrowest, I would say, of votes this week.
Oh, yes.
What do you know about the budget and the vote, that narrow vote by which it passed?
There was some, forgive my candor, Mike, there was some fake drama about that vote. No one wants an election before Christmas, but the opposition parties, and I mentioned the Conservatives and the Bloc Québécois, wanted to get that off the floor of the House of Commons. Pay attention to this. This is going to be good. They want to send it off to committee, where they have the hammer. They hold all the votes in the Commons Finance Committee. And by the time they're done with that budget, it will bear no resemblance to what the Cabinet wanted, and then it will be a take-it-or-leave-it plan. In a minority parliament, These committees really hold the hammer. By the way, watch for a little storm cloud that is coming Cabinet's way. Only hours before that close budget vote, the budget officer sent a letter up to the Speaker of the House of Commons. This has not happened in 13 years. And he said, they're hiding figures from me. So help me, Cabinet will not give me crucial information. By the way, that's against an act of Parliament. And there will be MPs who are chewing the bit to cite Cabinet for contempt of Parliament. It's just getting hotter and hotter, Mike.
Indeed, it is. Okay, one more before I let you go today, because I'm really curious about this digital ID that is being proposed for those applying for EI or old age security. Surely, Tom, this will not be mandatory. We can opt into this digital ID, can't we?
So they say. And yet there are suspicions, aren't there, that once you open the door, you can apply for old age security by mail now or by telephone, employment insurance. You can go into a Government of Canada office. Not good enough, said the Department of Social Development and Employment that runs these programs and payouts. They proposed a website, a government website, where everyone will obtain digital ID. Now, they are insistent. You will never be forced to do this. What's the worry, by the way? This is not an internet conspiracy. There are MPs and parliamentary committees who have said, forget about any national ID system in Canada. It's un-Canadian. It's a violation of your privacy. Forget it. And now we see Libertarian MPs in particular, Leslyn Lewis from Haldimand, Norfolk, just the other day telling the Commons, watch this, because once they get the tools, once you're the hammer, you know they're going to start looking for nails. And the day that becomes mandatory, that's a big deal, Mike.
Indeed, it is. Tom, keep up the great work. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski, managing editor at the Blacklocks Reporter. I know I went back several days. You might have already heard the story of the government house leader from London, because when it hit and Blacklocks broke it, it hit hard. And my feed was starting to fill up with it. $174,000 in personnel expenses billed in just 9 days. And that possible, I must say, possible connection to the election campaign and where that money may have been spent is just all too real from where I'm sitting. And then everything else we get into with Tom Korski every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Tom, the managing editor at the Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. They really do great work, and you can find it online, blacklocks.ca, well worth the price of a subscription. Quick time out, back with more on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. I hope you know by now that I will never mislead you. I will always give you the unvarnished truth. And I have a feeling that the phone line that I just saw ring is going to be the connection to our guest that we were having a little bit of difficulty reaching. Fortunately, in the absolute nick of time, we have made that connection and we can have the conversation we were intending to have about a symposium taking place just 48 hours from now. Wilfrid Laurier University's University of the Future Symposium. Here to talk more about it, Patricia Goff, the Vice Dean at the Faculty of Arts at WLU. Patricia, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I am excellent, thank you. And I am so glad to be speaking to somebody in the Faculty of Arts. I think we get underappreciated, Patricia, as an arts grad. I say that.
I couldn't agree with you more.
A one-day symposium Friday exploring the future of the university in Canada. Why arrange the symposium? What's it all about?
So a couple of reasons, and I'll tell you the title of it has actually evolved to the University of the Future. And so we'll cut in from both sides, but you can imagine that the future of the university and the University of the Future are just subtly different in terms of our perspective on it. But we've organized this for a couple of reasons. One, in the Faculty of Arts at Laurier, we've been celebrating our 100th anniversary over the last year. So 2025 has been all about that. And you can imagine for a centenary, a lot of your time is spent looking back. What have we accomplished? What have we done? What have we learned? And we really wanted to finish off this centenary year by looking forward. And looking forward means understanding where we're going. How is the world changing? What do our students need? How do we have to adapt? What traditions do we want to preserve? So that's really the impetus behind this symposium on Friday.
What are you seeing students needing to adapt to today, Patricia, that they may have not been adapting to or needing to adapt to yesterday?
Well, there are so many things, and I think this is why we are excited to have the speakers we have and to have the people in the room whom we expect to attend. One of the big things that we need to understand in the university is how the workplace is evolving, because we're sending them out into the world. We're hoping that we're giving them a set of skills that will serve them, that will allow them to thrive. And the workplace is changing. We know that, but we have to understand how. How is it changing? Is it changing in terms of the ways in which they will use technology? Is it changing in terms of the likelihood that they might have a hybrid job as opposed to an in-person job? All of these things we need to understand so we can better prepare them.
Who have you lined up to take part in this symposium on Friday?
So we've got a great lineup. We've got 3 sessions over the course of the day. The first session features David Coletto, who is the founder and CEO of Abacus Data. And so David will start us off by telling us about trends in Canada. So we need to understand what's going on in the country. And of course, we know this is an extraordinary moment economically, politically, as we go through these shifts. And so David's going to help us understand that based on his research and public opinion in the moment, and thinking about what the implications for that might be for universities. So we start out wide. Then we narrow. So the second session features 3 university presidents. So that allows us to look at the sector. So we start national, then come down to the university sector. So Deborah McClatchy, our president, Rhonda Lenton, the president of York, and Robert Gordon, who just stepped down as the University of Windsor, they will provide that perspective. Then after lunch, we're going to get even more granular. So we have John Baker, who is the founder and CEO of our own Waterloo-based D2L. We have Ann Fitzgerald, who's the director of the Balsillie School. And we have Tricia Williams from the Future Skills Center. And so that's going to allow us to cut into these questions about what is the learning environment going to be like in the future? What is the workplace going to be like? Who are the students of the future? All these sorts of questions. So we're hoping that over the course of the day, we'll be able to cover that terrain.
How have you seen the post-secondary experience, particularly universities, evolve in your time in academia?
Oh my goodness! Well, I've been here for a while. It's evolving in a number of ways. It's evolving. Of course, we have to acknowledge that technology is having an impact on how we teach and how students learn. We know that students are using AI to do some of their work. We have to figure out how to put some ethical guardrails on that. We want them to learn the skill set, but we also know that they will move into jobs probably where AI is a tool. So we've got to to find the sweet spot there of making sure they have their own set of skills, but then also using AI as a tool. We've seen the university evolve in terms of the mental health supports that we need to provide to students. We're thinking about who the student of the future is. We know that demographically, we probably won't have as many students in the 18 to 24 age range in the coming decades, but those same students who graduate might retrain more often during their careers. So maybe we'll have older students coming back. So there are all sorts of strands that we need to pull to try to understand where things are going.
What does the University of the Future look like to you?
Well, I don't know. This is why I'm happy to gather a lot of smart people in a room on Friday and share some perspectives. I think that it will not look radically different from what it has looked like. There are some traditions that in universities I think we've probably gotten right. We need to have that personal connection between an instructor and students, between students and peers. There's some things that I think have just stood the test of time, but we can always learn how to communicate better with the students, how to, just how to equip them better for the world that they're entering. So I will freely admit that I don't know, and that's why I'm really excited to have this conversation and see if we can figure it out together, all of us who are stakeholders in this enterprise.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I find it fascinating to be in the place that we're in, the impacts of AI, what that looks like in the future, and I think a symposium like this it will be very interesting stuff. Really appreciate you making time on the show this morning, Patricia, to talk about it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having me. Okay, have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Patricia Goff is the Vice Dean at Wilfrid Laurier University's Faculty of Arts, joins us to talk more about the University of the Future, a one-day symposium exploring the future of the university in Canada. It's taking place on Friday at the Balsley School of International Affairs. And I will just emphasize again how much of a pleasure it is to speak to somebody in the Faculty of Arts. I know I get the bad rap as somebody who graduated from an arts program at the University of Waterloo. Yes, they offer arts programs there. It's not just math and science, but I get it. I continue to this day. I will believe firmly till my last breath, I think. I mean, my mind can always change, I suppose. Never say never, but I believe firmly in the value of, yes, even an arts degree and an arts-based education. I know it gets poo-pooed on from time to time, but I'm there for it. And interesting conversation leading up to that symposium on Friday at the Balsley School of International Affairs, hosted by Wilfrid Laurier University. Speaking of Friday, allow me to take this opportunity to remind you that on this show every Friday, we get our Friday 4 roundtable, right, to talk about the week's big stories. We get the coaches show with Rangers head coach UC Ahokas. And also on Fridays, we play your requests, which I know sounds a little bit odd because this is a talk show, right? But there's music that comes after every commercial. There's music that starts our show, etc. And we like to give you the opportunity to hear a little bit of your favorite song on Fridays. All Request Fridays. And to make it even more fun, we make you work just a little bit. We put a theme on the All Request Friday show. This week's theme is cover songs. I know that today's talk radio listener is yesterday's rock radio listener. So take your musical background, the music that you love, and your favorite cover song, and request it. And we'll play a bit of it during All Request Friday, this Friday morning on the show. You want to make that request? Just give us a call. Let us know what the song is, the cover song following the theme, or drop me an email, mike@570news.com, and we will play your request of a cover song on the show Friday. An update from the 570 News Center is on the way, and then Spycraft. What is it? Where can you see it? And getting ready for the 45th Hespeler Santa Claus Parade. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. That's really cute, City of Kitchener. Really cute. I like Brantford, too. I have a soft spot in my heart for the home of Wayne Gretzky. And the very first radio station that ever had the guts to give me a job way back when. I got a soft spot. And don't even get me started on the Sanderson Theatre there. Oh, my goodness, what a gem. But that's Brantford. As much as I love you, Brantford, we make ice resurfacing machines in Elmira, too. It's like 20 minutes from downtown Kitchener, right here in the region of Waterloo. That's why I say, you want to name the new electric Zamboni, U.S. headquartered brand of ice resurfacing machine? Call it the Olympia, because that's what we make here. I'm going to submit 5 votes for Olympia as the name of our new Zamboni. Waterloo region made in Elmira at Resurf Ice. But I digress. I bring up the Sanderson Theatre in Brantford. Gorgeous place to stage a concert, a show, you name it. I was just talking before that news update with Mark about my passion for the arts, why I was so happy to be speaking to the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Arts at Wilfrid Laurier University. And we're going to kind of keep it in that vein as we move into our next conversation with Richard Greenblatt, who's the director of the one-woman spy drama Spycraft. Richard, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me more about Spycraft.
Well, Mike, sorry to correct you, but it's not a one-person show. It's actually 4 actors in the show, although there is one woman who is definitely the protagonist.
Got it.
And she's a middle-aged woman during the Second World War who is embedded in occupied France as a spy. And how she's seemingly invisible because A, she's middle-aged, and B, she spends her days knitting. But what the Nazis don't know is that she's knitting code, and she observes troop movements and things like that and any other kind of military intelligence and passes it along to the British. But when somebody is taking the code, all they see is a pair of socks and not a coded message. So, and this was actually based on real events, that there was in Churchill's SOE, the Special Operations Executive, there were many women who knitted, and they knitted in code. And it was a fascinating kind of way of fighting the war.
That was exactly the word I was going to use. It absolutely is fascinating to think about that contribution to the war effort. And I wonder, because you mentioned, Richard, that it's based on real events, what it means to take on a production with this historical meaning behind it.
Well, I think there's a certain responsibility you have to be accurate historically, but on the other hand, it's balanced with, it's also theater, and you're telling a story, and especially in a spy thriller, you want to make it as exciting as possible. So certainly there are artistic licenses that one takes, but you don't want to be disrespectful to the actual history at the same time. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Now, the company that's producing the show is called A Yarn or Two Collective, and basically their mandate is totally unique as far as I've ever heard, and their mandate is the intersection between knitting and theater. So they did their first show was a one-person show that was done by one of the co-artistic directors, Kirk Dunn, and it was called The Knitting Pilgrim, and that was based on his real life, and he's a knitter. So we were also looking for how strongly we can make that intersection between knitting and the spy thriller. And there's one other kind of element to the story, which is really important. There's a kind of modern-day framing device where our lead character's granddaughter and great-granddaughter receive a package from the War Museum in Britain just after the Official Secrets Act has been kind of reached its end, and they discover that their the grandmother of the middle-aged woman was a spy, but also a hidden Jew, and they never knew that. They were brought up as Protestants, and but their grandmother hid the fact that she was Jewish, which of course makes her daughter Jewish and her granddaughter Jewish and her great-granddaughter Jewish. And so these two women who are kind of reading through this history and discovering just how exciting a life she lived as a spy also discover that they are Jewish, but they don't quite know what to do with this information. And in fact, that's really the end of the play, is them asking the question, what do we do now? So there's another level to the whole story that has, and making also correlations between what's going on in some of the, things like ICE raids in the States, and, making some correlations between that and certain fascistic things that went on during Nazi Germany. In fact, one of the lines is from a post which said on the inauguration day in 2025, don't forget to turn your clocks back to 1936 Germany. And that's making some of those correlations and seeing how the world is some ways is going back to some of those things that we thought we had gotten over. So it's first and foremost a spy thriller and a real kind of, exciting story about how Odette, our main character, survives and uses her wits to get by and barely escapes with her life, as well as making certain modern-day correlations.
It will obviously give the audience an awful lot to think about.
Yeah, and entertain them royally at the same time. So, because it's just, the main story is just a rollicking good tale. It almost has the feel of a kind of film noir 30s film, those fast-talking Bogart and Bacall films, or the Thin Man series, if you know those. And it's just that snappy dialogue that just goes by, and it's just and funny as well. There are moments of comedy, and there's moments of suspense, and moments of real connection. So it's a real lovely, fun evening.
Where are we able to see Spycraft, Richard?
Okay, so tonight they're in Oakville, at the Oakville Center. Then on Thursday they travel to Collingwood, and it's there for a few days. Then in Toronto for a few days. Then next week it will be in Aurora on Tuesday, back in Toronto. And then it finishes off in Fergus on the 29th and Ajax on the 30th. And that's the end of the run.
I know folks in Wellington County who enjoy this show will be looking forward to that November the 29th date in Fergus, which is another beautiful little theatre, the Fergus Grand.
Yeah, there's so many of them dotted throughout southern Ontario. These beautiful little theatres. We were in Stirling for about 10 days, and that's a gorgeous theatre as well. So, yeah, there's all these wonderful, wonderful jewels dotted throughout Ontario.
Look forward to the production, as always. Richard, thanks very much for making time for our show this morning.
Thank you.
Richard Greenblatt is the director of Spycraft, which has a one-day-only production at the Fergus Grand Theatre. It'll be a matinee on Saturday, the 29th of November. Just imagine helping to break code or provide code during the war through knitting. You can find it at the Fergus Grand Theatre next Saturday, the 29th. And a little bit of humor, not to mention leaving you something to think about, given the fact that we may well have turned back our clocks to 1936 these days. A quick break. When we come back, we're also going to go back in history a little bit. 45 years to be exact. That's when the Hespeler Santa Claus parade got started, and preparations are well underway for this year's festivities. We'll talk about it next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. All right, I was just doing my best impression of Santa Claus. I checked it twice, the date, to make sure, and here we are, about 2.5 weeks away from the 45th Hespeler Santa Claus parade. So We're getting that close. And here to tell us more about it, members of the parade committee, Greg Robbins and Kathy McIntyre are here. Greg, good morning.
Good day. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here, sir. Kathy, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
It's an absolute pleasure. And Peggy Bygrave is with us as well, the parade marshal this year. Good morning, Peggy.
Good morning.
You were the parade marshal as well last year.
Yes, I've been up for the last 10 years.
10 years as parade marshal. What does that role mean to you?
Well, my husband did it first, and then I took over after he passed away. So it's pretty important.
Carrying on tradition.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Kathy, tell me a little more about the Hespeler Santa Claus Parade.
Well, it starts always on the first Saturday, and it starts at 12 noon sharp. This year we have about 54 parade entries already, and there's still some floating in. We start collecting donations to help with some of the expenses. But the community has been wonderful as support. It's just a great feeling that people thank you for it every year, which is great. And then we do it for the children, of course, right?
Of course. Parade entries still floating in, pun intended, right?
Yes.
Greg, I know something like this doesn't just happen overnight.
No.
What goes into preparation for the annual Hespeler Santa Claus Parade?
Well, it's basically a carryover from previous years. We have a list of participants and people who have donated and given their time and effort. It's all voluntary. So we take over from last year, and Kathy's been the big one on the computer, sending emails and asking for support. And we do a walkabout. We print out flyers, and we walk to all of the businesses in Hespeler. So that's all up Jameson Parkway and all the way down to Toyota. We do that walkabout every year. And it's just a matter of gathering all the information together and getting everybody on the same page, really, is what it's all about. So, and then Santa Claus, of course, we have him ready to go. He's on call right now. So as soon as we give him the go-ahead, he'll be there. So, yeah, it's time-consuming, but it's a pleasurable thing, too.
Sure.
Yeah, and it carries on the tradition of, like I say, it's been the 45th parade this year, but it's been 47 years. COVID, we lost a couple of years there. 47 years ago that Peggy and Russell actually had the first parade in Hespeler when they owned a business in downtown on Queen Street there. So we enjoy it. It's just something we like to do. So.
I wanted to ask about that, Peggy. 47 years ago, you and Russell hatched this plan, I guess, for a Hespeler Santa Claus
It was
parade.
his plan, not mine.
But you went along?
Yeah.
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 What was that first one like?
We owned the store, ceramic store number 19. He had 19 days to get the parade going, and we had 19 entries, the first one.
Okay.
He went to Galt and Preston and found out they had street lights, but we had nothing. So they said we needed a business association, which we didn't have at that time. And so he called all the store owners together, and he said about bringing Santa Claus to town. And they said, what a parade. And Russell said yes. So that's how it all started.
And if we're going back 47 years, we're awfully close to pre-amalgamation time, aren't we? Hespeler, Preston, and Galt would have been just recently at that point, right, into the city of Cambridge. So there's a distinct identity for Hespeler, isn't there?
Right.
Yeah.
There is. If you talk to anybody from Cambridge who have lived there more than many years, it's always Galt, Preston, Hespeler.
Yeah.
Anybody new to the community, it's Cambridge. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So there is that distinction.
And my better half is a Preston girl through and through. She's very
we're
proud
sorry
of that.
to hear that.
That's what I tell her too, right? That's exactly
We
what
still
I tell her.
welcome people from outside.
But what is it, Kathy? What is it about Hespeler that makes your village, your part of Cambridge, unique?
I came from Toronto, and of course, everything is bigger there. But coming into our little town, everybody talks to you. It's not like you can knock on the door and people will answer the door and speak with you. And that's what it feels like, a family to me, more than just a community that nobody talks to you. But that's what makes it special for myself anyways.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Peggy, this is the reason that this parade was able to start, because Russell could just talk to folks in Hespeler, fellow business owners, and say, we're going to do this, and everybody jumped on board.
Yep. That's the way it went. We had a committee for quite a while, and then they all started to back out, and then Russ and me just took over and did it.
How much work goes into that?
Well, I was still working at the time, so it took me a lot of time. Like, I did all the book work and everything, and then I'd help decorate the float. We did the Christmas lights too at that time, so we had to restring them and everything every year. So there was a lot of work involved in it.
Why do you stay involved?
I don't know, because that was his wish, I guess. I enjoy it now.
Of course, yeah.
It took a lot for him to get me to go in the parade. And because I wouldn't go in it, and then he finally talked me into it. So then I went in the parade with parade marshal. We did a couple of years together on electric bikes as parade marshals, dressed the same. And now I just enjoy doing it.
You didn't want the attention, eh?
No, I didn't want the attention. I was always in the back seat.
Kathy, Saturday, December the 6th is the day.
Yes.
What should we know about the parade, its route, how people can get involved?
Well, it is on the website, the route, and it's funny. You can walk out there about 15 minutes before on the street, and you're like, "Oh God, where is everyone?" All of a sudden at noon, everybody is on the street. Some people have their chairs set up even beforehand. They've got their blankets. The streets are crowded. They're coolers, walking around with their hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate. Yeah, okay.
It does start at noon. Peggy's the first one that rolls everything out, and it just follows right down. And we do have some street closures. The police have that closed down. It's fun. It's a fun day, and we've been very lucky with the weather over the last few years. So it just seems after the parade, that's when it might snow. I think Russell looks after that for us.
Yeah.
Have you had any days, Greg, over all of these years? Kathy says the weather usually cooperates, but it's December sometimes.
You know, last year it was raining all morning. Come 11:30, 11:45, it stopped. The parade went on till by 2 o'clock, I guess, everybody's off the street and everything's closed up. It started to rain. So that's probably the worst weather we've had in the last 5-6 years that I know of. Yeah. So, yeah, I've lived in Cambridge for 20-some years now, but in Hespeler, and I know that I don't think I've seen a rainy day for Santa Claus parade or snow. Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's been good, yep.
Peggy, you remember any days from back in the early days?
One day I got up at 5 o'clock. It was a blizzard.
Oh, my gosh.
So I woke him up and I said to him, "You can't run the parade today." He says, "Why not?" I says, "Because it's a blizzard. You can't see across the street." "Don't worry, go back to bed. We'll run the parade." By 12 o'clock, the sun was shining.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. So it's made to order.
Made to order, yep.
That website that Kathy was referring to, Hespeler Santa Claus Parade.ca, gets underway at noon on Saturday, December the 6th. Is there room, Kathy, at this point? Any more entries?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We welcome everyone.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep.
We've had people phone us last night and say
even last night.
So,
Really?
Yeah.
Right up till the week before. We like to get it about a week ahead of time, just so that gives us the time to put the parade together and line up and everything. And then as long as you're in before then, and we'll take you after if it's a special person.
We don't turn anyone away.
No.
What does this mean to the community? I mean, going 45 years now, it's got to be.
It's a tradition.
It is,
and,
isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, it's the kickstart for the kids, and even after the parade, there's the Scout House where the kids can go see Santa and they get a goodie bag. I can't believe it. Just seems to get bigger and bigger. There's hardly any room on the streets, but we have quite a route there. As I said, they get their chairs out there early just to get a spot sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's part of the tradition, though.
Yep.
We see it, right? When the parade is a mainstay, like the Hespeler Santa Claus parade is, folks will know Saturday, December the 6th, they'll get out there, they'll stake out their spot and ready for when the parade starts.
It starts at 12 o'clock sharp.
Yep.
It leaves by the Shoppers Drug Mart, Gobi Street there. That's where it starts, and it ends down Adams Street in Hespeler.
Guelph Street.
Guelph
Ave, the bottom end of Adam, yeah. But it's for the kids. That's what it's about. And that's why it's at 12 o'clock. Children are up and about at 12 o'clock. At 7, 8 o'clock at night, they're cranky. Who wants to deal with them, right?
And seniors.
No, it's good. But that's what it's for. It's for the kids to enjoy Santa and enjoy the day. So.
Perfect. So it's for the kids and the kids at heart, we'll say, Kathy.
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that right up until the week before, so maybe another week or so if folks want to get involved some way, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Right on the website.
Right on
Just
the
go
website.
to the website. There's an entrance form. Fill it out and send it in. That's all you have to do.
And
There's
our
no
phone
cost.
numbers are on there if anybody has any questions. So we're available 24.
All right. So that's Hespeler Santa Claus Parade.ca. Check out the site if you want to get involved. And You're like a bunch of Santa's elves in here. You're working round the clock up until this parade, aren't you?
It's hard to keep my ears pinned down, eh?
Well, thanks for doing it today.
Yeah.
Greg Robbins and Kathy McIntyre on the parade committee, and Peggy Bygrave, the parade marshal again this year for the Hespeler Santa Claus parade on Saturday, December the 6th. Thank you for what you do for the community, and thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, for sure. Yeah, that's great.
We already know we're guaranteed good weather on Saturday, December 6th, at least in Hespeler. Preston, you're on your own.
For a couple hours.
For a couple hours. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It seems so simple on the surface, but things rarely go as easily as you might hope, right? That would be my brief overview of this story out of Guelph, where there was a land parcel severance. The nonprofit Thresholds Homes and Supports bought the land and then turned it over to the Indigenous organization that you have probably heard of, Crow Shield Lodge. Again, on the surface, this seems to make a whole lot of sense. Should be a pretty simple process, but at a recent meeting discussing it in Guelph, I would say it was anything but simple. So let's dive into the details a little bit further as we're joined this morning by Eric Phillip, who's the CEO at Threshold Home and Supports. Eric, good morning.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing all right, thank you. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. It's been too long since we've had a formal conversation like this that others can eavesdrop on. And so to that end, I'd like to start, if we could, with a little bit more about Threshold and the work that you do at Threshold Homes and Supports.
Yeah, absolutely. So Threshold Homes is a mental health and housing provider. We're actually the largest mental health and housing provider in Waterloo region. We also work in Wellington County. We support individuals who have anything from complex mental health needs to maybe just someone who needs support within community. We support about 1,000 people over the course of the year, and we support about 400 people in housing. It is literally the best organization, and I love my job, and I'm happy to be there.
And you guys stepped up last year in the region of Waterloo for a winter warming center for those who were unhoused or precariously housed.
Yeah, and we're running it back this year, even earlier. So last year we started, I think, mid-January, and this year we're actually open right now, which is great because the weather's already started dropping. I think, and I'm very proud of the team who have worked at the warming center. We've seen an immediate need from the individuals who are coming out for those services. We have restaurants donating soup. We have Indigenous care on site. We have really great support systems in place for people who want to come out of the cold, get connected, get some resources, get back in the community. And so I'm really proud of the work that team's doing. And it's definitely necessary as we get rolling into winter.
So take me, Eric, to this story in Guelph where the Committee of Adjustment approved a land parcel severance and Thresholds was able to buy that land.
Yeah, so Thresholds was looking for a home for some of our clients, and we deeply believe in housing and community. We have about 17 group homes across Waterloo, Wellington area, and we found this amazing home on Highland Road that was attached to about 11 acres of green space. We are committed to reconciliation, and we're about 200 staff strong, and every single one of those individuals deeply believes in reconciliation and Indigenous relationships, and so this was a perfect opportunity for us to really demonstrate that commitment through severance of the land and then transfer to the land trust to return the land, to its rights, who are the Indigenous.
Why Crow Shield Lodge? And what, I guess reconciliation would be the basis for the decision to turn it over to this Indigenous organization. Why Crow Shield? What's that relationship like?
Yeah, we've been working with Crow Shield Lodge for a couple of years now. They're like you mentioned, pretty well known in Waterloo as being an agency that deeply supports sharing Indigenous culture with both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. They do amazing land-based healing. Clarence, who is the leader of that organization, has been working and partnering with nonprofits to really help members of our community understand Indigenous culture and appreciate that culture. And it's like an interesting thing that the land transfer is about reconciliation, but it's really about a relationship that is not unidirectional. Like, we've benefited so much from Indigenous culture in our work. We have Indigenous culture on our sites. We have, a lot of westernized clinical care is based on Indigenous principles, and we are currently benefiting from that work, like across all these communities. And so, as much as it feels like this great initiative, really, I hopefully, see it as like simply like a circular relationship when we are supporting the Indigenous community equally as much as the Indigenous community is supporting us in this work and the incredible impact they have, on our community and the people we support.
So what now then becomes of that land that you have turned over to Crow Shield Lodge?
Yeah, so we had that awesome win last week where we were successful at the Committee of Adjustment to sever the parcel. We're currently going through the legal process, which should be straightforward, to transfer that land to the Indigenous Land Trust. Clarence and his team there will restore the land. That means they'll go in and they'll use Indigenous practices to clean up the land and make sure it's healthy. And then hopefully in the future, that'll be a place where the Indigenous community can go to, practice their culture, invite people to the land, to help them go through healing circles, learn about Indigenous cultures, share Indigenous voices, and really empower Indigenous people for the future. As much as this work feels about today, what we're hoping to do is to work and build communities, 10, 20, 30 years from now that are healthy and vibrant. And I think this is as much about that work as it is about anything else.
So going through this process at public meetings like you did, the Committee of Adjustment in Guelph, brings feedback from neighbors of the parcel of land. And my general takeaway from following the story, Eric, is that one of the greatest concerns expressed by those who are living nearby is that this land now will turn into some giant encampment. What were you hearing from folks that were expressing concern with this?
Yeah, I mean, the last thing we want to do is discredit people's opinions or their feelings about any type of change in their neighborhood. I think what I heard is people are very passionate about the place they live. That's great. But sometimes they also bring, some sort of insight or history that is negative or just, based on untruth. So there's no intention of encampments or any type of housing on this site. Crow Shield Lodge simply practices cultural healing within the community. And I think as we work with members of that community, I think as we grow and support them and they come out and support us, I think those people who are, bringing a lot of that negativity and challenges because they are passionate about the community they live in are the same people who will be, our biggest supporters in the future when they see the work, when they come out and they meet the people and they see the impact, just as has happened in Waterloo region, where we have great relationships between Crow Shield Lodge and the local communities. I think that's the future, and it can be bumpy sometimes, but we always get there.
How do you feel about those bumps in the road that happen sometimes?
I think one thing we don't want to do is get sucked into any type of spiral of negativity or a fight, because it can consume you, and our work is already hard. It's not the easiest road all the time on our side, especially for doing the work of Crow Shield. And the more air and fire we put into that, sometimes it can just consume you. And I think as much as we want to acknowledge those concerns, we have received phenomenal feedback from broader members of the community who believe in this work, who can't wait to participate. And I think that's what we want to take away from this initiative is the positive love and appreciation and support for Crow Shield Lodge that has come from the broader Guelph community. And I think that's the most important message to take away.
Do you have any plans to work with the immediate neighborhood to smooth out some of these bumps?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I said, the door's always open, and I think we always want to work together. I think for us, we'll be going down this path, and as people, see and learn, and listen and give space to a dialogue, I'm very confident we'll get there. Sometimes emotions are heated in the beginning and prevents us from having a really effective conversation. I think going forward, things are going to work out.
Eric, I really appreciate you making time for the show this morning. Thanks very much for being here, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Eric Phillip is the CEO at Thresholds Homes and Supports. Joins us to talk about the bumps in the road. And I suppose when you do the kind of work that Eric does, they are common, those bumps in the road. When you are already doing that hard work that Eric talks about, helping to shelter those who otherwise would not have shelter, and you are set up in perhaps already established neighborhoods, there are real challenges. I first met Eric at one of those bumps in the road, and Thresholds wasn't even directly involved in this particular situation, but there was a public meeting held. We were at the Rockway Community Center. This probably goes back a couple of years now. Anyway, it was around the turning over of the former Schwaben Club on King Street East in downtown Kitchener into that shelter space that was being operated by our working center. And neighbors expressed a great deal of concern with the impact that the shelter was having on their neighborhood. And Eric was there to speak to the Thresholds Homes and Supports model and speak on behalf of really those who were not represented at the meeting. And that, of course, was the folks who were finding shelter in the former Schwaben Club and trying to survive, quite frankly, and the impacts that it was having on the neighborhood. So that's when I first met Eric, and sounds like something similar happening with this land severance approved at the Committee of Adjustment in Guelph, even though nothing has even begun to happen on the land as of yet. They are working to dot the I's and cross the T's on that transfer of the land to Crow Shield Lodge as part of Threshold's efforts towards reconciliation. And then Crow Shield Lodge will use that land, preserve that land, use it for their natural healings, etc., but will not become some sort of large sanctioned outdoor encampment in Guelph, as some nearby residents fear. And we'll just continue to watch what happens from here. As Eric says, he's not about to diminish anyone's feelings or opinions on the issue. The door is always open, and they'll continue working with the community as they try to move forward on their efforts towards reconciliation and their ongoing work to support the marginalized in our community. I'm going to keep in the vein of housing, if you will, right after this brief timeout, because we got a little bit of good news, I guess, when it comes to housing in the region. We are actually up in terms of the number of starts. So that means after 3 consecutive years of declines, we've got an increase, but builders are still struggling a little bit. And this was something that was discussed at Waterloo's council meeting on Monday night. I'll share some of that insight with you as we continue the Mike Farwell Show this morning. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. After back-to-back years of construction of new homes falling in the region, we've actually ticked up this year. And that is obviously a step in the right direction when it comes to getting built the homes we need to have built here in the region. More on that in just a moment. But as you know, our phone lines are open the minute we start the show every day. And Glenn is on the phone with us. Good morning, Glenn.
Hi, good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. I'm just calling about the Schwaben Club. I don't know if you know, but I work for an organization called Shelter Movers, and we move women out of domestic violence situations, and we work in conjunction with something called retail therapy. And retail therapy is now in the Schwaben Club. It used to be a park in Victoria, and it's a place where people can donate furniture, etc., and then we use that when we reshelter people for shelter movers. So I just want to give you an update about the Schwaben Club in case you didn't know.
I didn't know retail therapy had relocated there, Glenn, and I'm glad to hear that because I know they were having some trouble, let's say, at Park in Victoria.
Yeah, it was pretty tight. There was not a lot of space.
Yeah. Glad to hear it. So we can go there now to purchase what we need or get what we need when people are, particularly women fleeing domestic violence, are, relocating to new shelters. They can get some stuff there.
They've got a lot of good things, and the prices are pretty reasonable. They're used, but they're in pretty good condition. They're kind of picky what they take. So if anybody's looking for good used furniture, it's a good spot.
It's great to know. Really appreciate that update, Glenn. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This is what I love about doing this show with you every day. I like to think that I keep my eyes and ears on everything in this region, the finger on all of the pulses. There's a lot going on, a lot that I don't know about. I rely on you to be the eyes and the ears out there, and then you can call up like Glenn just did and say, hey, did you know that retail therapy has relocated from Park in Victoria to the former Schwaben Club on King Street East in Kitchener? You'll remember, of course, those challenges that I alluded to were break-ins, several break-ins at the former site of retail therapy. So obviously, you can't have your stuff being stolen when that stuff is there to help women fleeing awful situations. So retail therapy finds its new site, and Glenn is able to update us on it here this morning. Love it when it works that way. All right, let's get back to what I was telling you about construction of new homes, which has ticked up a little bit this year after 3 consecutive years of declines. Just over 3,600 homes started between January and October, which exceeds the number of new homes started in all of 2024. This is good news, of course, but builders are still facing challenges, and this issue was brought to Waterloo Council on Monday night by the head of the Grand Valley Construction Association, Jeff McIntyre.
As association business goes, when times are tough, we're very busy. And when times are good, they don't need us. Organizations don't need us. Right now, we're as busy as we've ever been. And the reason is that there's just nothing happening out there. Things aren't moving along right now. And that's the biggest concern, is that projects aren't moving forward, and therefore my members are trying to figure out where their next piece of business is going to come from. And right now, a lot of our members are really, really, really struggling to determine what's going to happen for the balance of this year and what's going to happen next year. So, Councillor Vasek, you mentioned about infill projects. Everyone's waiting for that to happen, but doesn't seem to be happening right now. And a lot of it has to do with interest rate charges. They've come down, but the sales have not gone up yet. Development charges are things that we can provide, have some different inputs on. And I think it's very important that we look at what are the things that are stopping people from buying homes. Right now, nothing is coming our way. That's our biggest concern. You may know something that I don't know, but the number of approvals that are out there are good, but the number of building permits that are happening right now are not there. So I don't know when we're going to get to this intensification, and that's the biggest concern that my industry has. We're going to sit here and wait, and we'll probably have this discussion next year and the year after and the year after to say, yes, our rates are good, but I don't think it's going to be enough of an impact to get the ball moving right now, to first of all, solve the housing crisis, build the type of housing that we need, and then ultimately get things moving again. So my caution is to take the time, look at what's coming from the province, look at what's coming from the Feds. I was down at Queen's Park last week talking to the Premier and talking to the Minister of Labour, and they asked me what we could do. I said, you got to turn the tap back on. We got to figure out a way to get people building.
Turn the tap back on. We got to figure out a way to get people building. Lots of approvals, not a lot of starts. Jeff McIntyre, head of the Grand Valley Construction Association. Let's go back to the phones. Sahar, a first-time caller to our show. Good morning, Sahar.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
I'm calling in regards the food drive at our diner, if that's okay if I can mention it.
Absolutely.
So I know it's the season, and I know there's a lot of families are in need, and we are at Wimpy's Diner location at Homer Watson and Weber Street are accepting non-perishable items and hygiene products until December 10th. If anybody likes to drop off anything, we are more than happy to take it and deliver it.
I know the Weber location. Where's the one on Homer Watson? Is that down by the college, Sahar?
Correct. It's 2480 Homer Watson.
Got it. So Wimpy's locations, non-perishable food items, hygiene items?
Correct.
Thank you very much, and thanks for doing that.
And we appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Thanks for calling in. There you go. That's the way it works. It is that time of the year, so anybody who can help out is encouraged to do so when they visit their favorite Wimpy's location, Homer Watson Boulevard or Weber Street in Kitchener. We're going to get you an update from the 570 News Center, and then it's Wednesday morning. Rob Deutschman will join us for some political R&D. Wonder if he knows the heck is going on in Cambridge. We'll talk about it on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I'm glad it's fine. Thanks for letting me know it's fine. Guy comes in here, whizzes all over the column today that I'm getting widespread praise for. We're on. You turn on your microphone yourself, pal.
Am I on?
You're on.
Okay, good. Well, first of all, Mike, before we get into it, I was going through the paper, and I just wanted to talk about something, and I want to bring this idea to your attention that you might find interesting.
All right. This familiar voice is Rob Deutschman.
Yeah. You don't have to explain. You don't
Wednesday
explain what
morning.
R&D stands for.
Political R&D. R for Rob.
No.
D for Deutschman.
Oh, God. You have a smart audience. They don't need to hear that part
Just
of
helping
it.
out.
Listen, so I'm going through, and I always pull out, I get the record. I love the paper record.
So do I.
And at the end, they got the puzzles, the jumble and the word finding. So I always peel that page off because I give it to my dad. My 89-year-old dad likes to go through these things. And unfortunately, sadly, it's a bit of a sad part of the day, too, because it brings you through the obituaries as well, because that's where they're all located. But, I happened to catch this one, caught my eye, about a guy named Jim Kennard, okay? And Jim Kennard is an avid Kitchener Ranger fan, was a subscriber. And sometimes you see this sort of thing. 25 years working at Schneider's, 42 years a bus driver. This guy is a classic Kitchener good old boy, if I ever read about one. So I just want to shout out to the Kennard family, condolences. But I just want to pass on this idea because I've seen a few lately with Kitchener Ranger references. What if the Rangers, during a game, like during the media intermission or something, had a 1 minute, post the person's name, everybody stands up and claps in recognition of a deceased subscriber or a deceased player as recognition for those people. And I only mention this because when I watch soccer, football, international football, they'll always have a period during the game where all the fans stand up and start clapping for a minute. And it's usually because somebody has passed away. It's either based on their number, that's the minute they use, or their age or whatever. But anyway, just throwing that out there because I know you're a wheel in the Ranger cog, and maybe you could pass on that idea.
I'm not even a pressure valve
you
on that wheel.
You are the big kahuna.
I don't think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, just something I wanted to pass on. I thought. Right. So anyway,
we started with "We Are Family."
We are family,
Sister Sledge. It is a
sludge.
They are a family, but a dysfunctional one at Cambridge Council right now. It appears to me.
Yeah. So, there's so much stuff going on. I just wanted to say, first of all, so much stuff going on in the region. I mean, we had, I was going to chat maybe about Woolwich and that issue in Breslau and communication, with the people about the sudden increase in what's happening there.
Increase? It's a $14,000 bill.
I know. And Mike, maybe we could talk about it another time because I'll talk about an experience I had when I was mayor or just before I was elected mayor. And we had a similar situation down in North Dumfries and Brown subdivision and the reaction from the people. And not hearing from your regional or political representatives, because I know you had somebody from staff on, but I wasn't clear if you had somebody. I might have missed it.
We just sent the request out, and it was the staff person who stepped forward.
And so you didn't get anyone from any of the councillors or the mayor to step forward and talk about it. So anyway, so now here we are. Cambridge just blew up over the weekend, and it was kind of interesting to me. I think you have to. There's a historical context to this situation that's happening in Cambridge, and one of the things I want to point out is, first of all, it's unfortunate because you've got a new CAO or city manager, as they call him, Mr. Axiak, and he's come from Welland, where he was 2 years as the CAO there. And I think an interesting sidebar is I think he might be one of the few people that's been actually appointed as CAO twice under strong mayors, once in Welland and now here in Cambridge. And the dynamic between the CAO and the mayor is probably the most important relationship in any municipal government, because the CAO is responsible for ensuring that staff are carrying out the goals, the targets, the wishes of council. And council is there to make sure that the community's views are expressed. But the mayor is sort of that key person who's elected by, and I've said this before, about the most important positions in the region, the mayor being probably the top person. And the mayor is the one that's elected for the whole of the community. And the mayor is the one that's there on a full-time basis. The mayor is the one that has now the strong mayor powers, right? The strong mayor powers allow a mayor to hire, fire, at their pleasure or their decision, sole decision. And that includes the CAO. But before strong mayor powers came in, the relationship between the mayor and the CAO is very important. Now, what's going on in Cambridge? You have to go back. This goes back probably like a decade or the past 5 or 6 years before Mayor Leggett was mayor. She was a councillor. And if you listened to that meeting to the very end, Mayor Leggett gave some context to what had happened to her as a councillor. And it was during budget season, and she had a number of questions that she wanted to ask. And council or the mayor then said, hey, we're going to break so that you can go ask staff these questions during the break. It wasn't during the council meeting, it was during the break. And there's a general view that, and it's a good view, I would say, is that if, as a councillor, if you have questions, you're probably better to ask those questions in between meetings, before a meeting, because you can have a more fulsome discussion with a staff person than you can at a council meeting. If you ever notice, at a council meeting, you can ask your question, it's like maybe 2 minutes, and then you get an answer. Maybe you can get one more response, and then that's it. It's off to the next questioner. So you're very limited at council to ask these questions. And I think also, too, I reflect back on someone like Ben Tucci, if you recall Ben Tucci, former councillor in Cambridge. And I remember one budget where he had, I don't know, it was about 30 to 50 amendments proposed for the budget, and they went through each one. And it just caused a lot of animosity a bit between the mayor and the councillor, and because sometimes people might feel that a councillor might be grandstanding at a council meeting, or could you make better use of time than to ask all these questions at a council meeting and do it beforehand. And I think that's probably what the mayor, working with the CAO, because really it's the mayor's decision how these things go. It's not the CAO's decision. It's not the CAO's decision to say, this is the new criteria for how your motions are going to come. This would have been the mayor's decision. And then the CAO is out there to implement the decision of the mayor. Because you could see that during that meeting,
you had 8 councillors on one side and the mayor and the city manager on the other.
Yeah, but the mayor was saying, this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's how it went. And then partway through that meeting, you could see that the mayor and the CAO had a huddle. And during that huddle, after they came back and said, okay, we're going to open it up and you can ask questions of staff, because they pivoted. Because I think they realized, based on the comments, and good on the councillors, because, you know, I did have some discussions as well through that weekend with some of the councillors as well. They have clear rules about how to bring a motion forward. So there shouldn't have been any, quote, criteria or requirement to talk to staff. There's probably a good intention and wish to speak to staff to get more information about what you're proposing, because when you propose a budget amendment, you have to understand what's the implication of that. Is the money coming from, and I think on some of them, the mayor was trying to point out, look, some of this money is coming from a reserve, so it's no impact on the budget.
I struggle with that, though.
Right.
Because that reserve was still built up from taxpayer money.
Oh, sure. But the reserve is for a specific purpose. And some of the things that the mayor proposed in her budget, the reserves were properly being used for that purpose. But the question was, is that a thing we should be working on right now or not? And so things like Councillor Hamilton was discussing the event center, you know, and that sort of caught everybody surprised. And maybe that's something that should have had more discussion leading into it. Good intentions, but in terms of execution, it caught everybody by surprise. And I think this is one of the problems with the strong mayor, because I noticed this when I watched the Wilmot Township Council budget meeting. Councillors are left in the dark at this stage because the mayor is working on a budget. The mayor is saying, we got a budget coming. It's going to cover some of these things. I think you'll be happy with what you see. But they're just sitting there going, okay, well, but I'm not seeing anything, and I'm only taking your word for it right now. And I could see even in Wilmot that there was frustration among some of the councillors about, so sort of like when you have a strong mayor approach and you have strong councillors, there's going to be a bit of a clash happening because before it was more of a collaborative approach. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen in Woolwich because, they have the potential for a large increase, but I haven't really heard whether Mayor Shantz is looking to introduce a strong mayor. I haven't watched all their meetings and et cetera, but whether because I didn't really hear the word strong mayor when I watched one of their prior discussions, strong mayor budget through her, because you don't have to bring a budget.
Does Woolwich qualify for
if
strong
you
mayor?
have 5 or more, I don't know if they have 5 councillors. If they have 5 councillors, I think they do have 5 councillors or more, then you do. So North Dumfries would not, and I don't think Wellesley does either.
Okay.
Woolwich would, because Woolwich is about the same size as Wilmot, so I'm sure they have that many.
Here's the big question, and I'll let you mull it over during the break, because what I'm hearing is that this is a strong mayor legislation issue here that's creating this blockage in Cambridge.
Not totally, no. It's not the strong mayor. We can explain after the break. The legislation is not creating this blockage. It's this criteria, which is to have councillors better informed, I believe, but the execution was bungled.
Okay. Because they got through it last year with a strong mayor's budget, and it wasn't like this.
But they didn't have that criteria.
Kitchener and Waterloo are getting through it with strong mayor's budgets.
Right, that's why it's not a strong mayor issue. It's the criteria that was being added for amendments.
Okay, we'll get into that further as we continue our conversation with Rob Deutschman, political R&D here on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Every Wednesday morning at 11:30 with Rob Deutschman, former regional councillor, former mayor of North Dumfries Township, former candidate for the Liberal Party in Ontario. Joins us for some political R&D, trying to help us understand how the sausage is made so we can make sense of things like the budget meeting in Cambridge on Monday. You said the criteria and maybe the communication of that criteria was the big problem here.
Yeah, I really do, because they have every council will have a policies or procedural bylaw, which tells you how you're supposed to conduct the affairs of council, and in there will be information about how a motion is to be introduced. So at the region, for example, if a councillor wanted to introduce a motion, they just had to get it to the clerk by a certain time period, and then it would be put on the next council meeting, and then it would be discussed. Now, if you need to shorten the time frame, any council can vote to waive notice. That's the notice period, and then deal with the motion right away. In Cambridge, their approach wasn't exactly the same. So what happens is a councillor under their procedural bylaw would come to a council meeting, put a motion on the table, and then that motion would be dealt with at the next council meeting. No requirement to talk to staff or whatever, but by convention or practice, it seems that what was happening was councillors would go see staff and say, hey, I'm interested in bringing this sort of motion. And then staff would give them some suggestions, or maybe say, well, someone else is working on something similar or what have you. So that collaboration is good, but that collaboration cannot stop a councillor from ultimately coming to a council meeting and just putting their motion on the table. Because the councillors are the law-making body. When you're elected, when you're elected as a councillor, you're given a massive responsibility in the community. You're one of now in Cambridge, one of 9 people that can vote to make laws that affect the whole of the community, not the staff. Staff is there to support you, okay? And I think what happened here was there was a desire by the mayor probably to make sure that people, that when they were bringing their motions, that they were informed or ensure that they not so much complied, but that the motion understood what the implication was so that it was properly dealt with, that you understood that this was it affecting the tax levy, or was it something coming from reserve? And I think the way the message came out, though, it made it sound like it was a criteria. And then they explicitly said, your motions don't meet the criteria, which was completely wrong. Okay, that was completely wrong of them to say that. And I put that on the mayor and the CAO with respect to that issue. but it's been clarified since. And I think that the intent was good, but the execution was poor. And now they've righted the ship midway through that meeting. And but it caused a lot of angst for a lot of people because there was a lot of uncertainty, and they had to go initially. I mean, if you watched Scott Hamilton getting grilled by councillors and then giving the councillors suggested questions. I mean, Councillor Devine was, he was
on fire. I really liked him.
Who's this stuff from with respect to the questions?
Well, but Councillor Devine has done a number of budgets over the time, right?
He's an 11-year vet, so he knows, hey, what is this? I mean, he's not happy about the strong mayor power, clearly. But, back in North Dumfries days, when I showed up, I'd never put a budget together. So I just said, okay, well, what do you guys do here? I'll just do the same. And what we did back then was, what was happening before me was the mayor sat down with the CAO and the treasurer, and they prepared the budget and then brought it to council. So it was almost like a strong mayor approach back then. But everyone got an opportunity to go through each item, and we made motions on the fly. Okay, it's like, okay, we got 50,000 for this. Well, let's bump it to 60. Everyone in favor? Okay, boom. We just went through the whole thing together. And that's really what should be happening generally, right? So the strong mayor powers outline timeframes. Okay, so the mayor introduces the budget. Now, it also says you don't have to introduce a budget this way. You could not introduce a budget and just go, we'll say, old school, right, the way it used to be done. And so the mayor introduces the budget. Councillors have time to bring forward their motions. Again, there's no criteria or anything in the legislation. Whatever your policy, procedure, bylaw is for bringing motions, that's how you do it. So you bring the motions, and then the motion is voted on. If it's passed, the mayor then can decide if they want to veto it. And if the mayor vetoes, then it comes back to council to consider for if two-thirds say, yes, we want it, then it's part of it. Very simple process. You don't have to talk to anybody, but it's good to communicate with staff so that you better understand, because budgets aren't easy. And even people that have been there for a long time, if you watch some of these meetings, display a level of knowledge that you think maybe they're not really understanding what's happening. It is a very difficult thing, and that's why it's crucial to be able to ask staff during the discussion about what's the implication of this. It's a simple thing, and I'm not sure why. I don't think it was appropriate to shut that off.
Cambridge Mayor Jan Liggett and City Manager Rob Axiak will join me on the show tomorrow morning, 9:30, and hopefully we can understand this better. Is it going to be okay? Are they going to be okay in Cambridge?
Oh yeah. They'll be fine in Cambridge. They've settled down on they've settled at a procedure. They're going to be able to bring motions. I think they just needed to clarify. I think council needed to push back a bit. I think the mayor was introducing a procedure that was maybe a little too much, and they've ratcheted it back. But again, some of that's based on experience, as Mayor Leggett said. When she brought a bunch of questions, she was required to ask those questions during a break. And obviously she was contemplating or thinking about how beneficial that is to speak to staff. It's very beneficial to speak to staff, but I don't think you can force that. That's the issue.
Well, I mean, I watched the regional budget meeting yesterday, and staff was fully involved. The CFO's answering questions, the interim CAO's answering questions. It's just a big discussion, which is always the way I've seen it happen at budget meetings.
It makes for a long meeting. I think they had a 10-hour meeting yesterday. The budget meetings are long, but that's really the only time of year when you really have the long meetings, is because they're working to a certain date. And so, your meeting might be a little longer, but there was only 5 proposed amendments, so it shouldn't have been a problem at all to talk to staff when you're only dealing with 5, because from Cambridge there were only 5 amendments, and it shouldn't have been a problem to talk to staff about that during the meeting.
All right, real quick before I let you go, did you catch this one at Waterloo Council?
We're on to consent motion, Council. Did anyone want to remove anything from consent? Seeing none, is there someone looking to move the consent motion? Moved by Councillor Wright, seconded by Councillor Roach. All in favor? That's carried unanimously.
The consent
Ding,
motion.
ding, ding.
The consent motion.
Ka-ching, that's the cash register.
Exactly.
Ka-ching.
A consent Nobody even knew what the consent motion was.
No. They all do it. They did.
The councillors did.
Yeah, the councillors did. Yeah. Well, if anyone's looking at the agenda, it's all right there too, right? So I was a little surprised with that. And like I said, maybe I'll go run for mayor in Waterloo, because now you can make almost $200,000 and get on a pension. We talked about that previously. I won't get into it. Consent agenda is a perfectly fine way to go ahead. If any of the councillors wanted to have a discussion about it, they are entitled to pull that out and have that discussion. But clearly, they just wanted to
Move on.
Let it slide.
Yeah,
Move on.
let it
Next,
slide through.
Next.
Exactly. Discussion about what? Our 32% increase? No, I don't want to have a discussion about that.
It's if they get reelected or run again. Maybe some of them are going to retire, so they're thinking of the next council.
I loved the idea that was floated on this show last week about that. It can then apply to the next councillor. If you get reelected, it doesn't apply to you. It applies to the next councillor. Why not? Why not?
No, because now people know you've passed this. You're running an election based on your record. If you get reelected, then you should get the increase.
People know you passed a consent motion. That's
yeah, but they know what it was in the motion. The issue is not how.
They know because of the media. The media let them know what was in the consent motion.
The media is great.
Thank you.
I'm going to
leave. Stop it right there.
You
okay.
are the best.
Turn off your microphone. I don't want you to hear another word. That's the perfect way to end it.
I was walking up the stairs to get to the studio, and there was just rainbows from the windows all over the steps. So this is like rainbows and lollipops with Mike Farwell.
Rob Deutschman joins us every Wednesday morning at 11:30 for the opposite of rainbows and lollipops. It's political R&D on the Mike Farwell Show. Talkback coming up. Open phone lines to hear from you on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Oh, you gotta love it when MPPs behave badly. Apparently, you can think that the Ontario government is corrupt, but you can't say it on the floor of our provincial legislature, thus getting yourself named and booted out of Queen's Park. Oh, Marit Stiles, leader of the Ontario NDP. I would have thought that after all of these years in office, you would know better. But I guess if we want to call a spade, we should have the right to do that, shouldn't we? I don't know if the provincial government is corrupt, but I understand why the NDP feels that way, or at least the leader of the Ontario NDP feels that way. Our phone lines are already getting busy here for Talkback today, which I love because that probably means something we talked about has struck a chord with you. Or maybe it means that you're just dying to get something off your chest and share it with us today. That's what Talkback is for. Your reflections on the issues we've discussed on the show, or something else you want to bring to the table. Phone lines 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. Remember, if you try one line and it doesn't work, try one of the other lines. You might sneak in that way because lines are already busy, and we'll get right to them. Jersey Bill, start us off. Good afternoon.
Well, yeah, government corruption. I've been thinking about that. And what really hit me is I actually looked at Mr. Trump yesterday in the Oval Office with his good friend, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And it all seems to be about how many trillions of dollars you can send my way. And if you do that, I really don't care who you kill. And by the same in the same way, I'll kill whoever I want, and I won't really worry about legal niceties. Powerful people have the ability to kill. There's a little bit this that underlines this whole Epstein ridiculousness. Rich and powerful people being able to do whatever they want whenever they want, and it's just. That level of corruption sort of pales, unfortunately, with anything that's happening in Queen's Park. Though I've always thought the Fords were, if anything, are an inspiration to the kind of politician that Mr. Trump wanted to be. Though on a much less horrible scale.
Billy, always good to hear from you. Thanks for weighing in your thoughts on American politics. I'll just say this about that. The whole Epstein story gives me the biggest ick factor. I just cannot even wrap my head around, as Billy says, if you have enough money, you can do whatever you want. Just awful stuff. every layer of it just gets more awful. Sean, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, number 165 here.
Farwell's Force official member. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, I just wanted to talk Cambridge. Okay, now is it my understanding these councillors wanted to question the staff because they didn't know what was going on?
I guess in a manner of speaking, they wanted to bring forward some amendments to the budget, maybe, work on some things that they had identified as a priority, that sort of idea.
Well, okay, I've been involved in municipal budgets before, and it's quite a long, drawn-out process. Like this goes on for months. And to be suddenly questioning staff in a public meeting seems a bit odd. Like, didn't they do their homework ahead of time? It's like, honestly, this goes on for months.
Oh, but Sean,
I just find it incredulous that they would. I don't know. I just find it weird that they would suddenly need to question staff suddenly at a meeting, like it's an emergency, and they wouldn't know what's going on. It's just weird.
Well, are you sure you've been a part of a municipal budget process before?
Yeah.
Okay, because
I have to provide numbers.
Well, but I'll just tell you,
it goes on for the better part. Like as soon as you're finished one, you start on the next.
I understand this, but Sean, I'm just going to point you as reference then to the regional budget discussion yesterday, where staff was answering questions right through the entire 10-hour meeting. It's not uncommon at all.
They bring But, okay, when you say staff, are you talking like the commissioners and the directors, or are you talking the lower downs?
No, I'm talking the commissioners, the directors, et cetera.
Okay, now he said that they weren't allowed to talk to him. So who told? So I'm guessing somebody told the staff they weren't allowed to talk, because that's not a decision they would make on their own.
I'm just trying. Now wait, what? You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth now, my friend.
No.
Yes.
But
you started this. No, hang on. You started this by saying, "How dare councillors want to ask questions of staff?"
No, it's not a how dare. It's a surprise. It's
Why? It happens all the time, Sean. All the time.
But usually at the end, it's just to find details, just going over the numbers at the very end, and then making their final presentation.
No, you have not. I'm sorry, but that's not how budgets work. Again, just go, please. It's online. Go back and watch the regional budget discussion yesterday. Staff is answering questions right through the entire meeting. That's the way they always work.
I'm down in the trenches. I don't get to go to the meetings at the very end.
All right. Well, I don't know what meetings then you've been a part of that haven't had questions asked of staff, but maybe the final budget meeting after the work's already been done. It was not a final budget meeting yesterday, but I promise you, your information is inaccurate in this regard. And all you need to look at for reference is what happened at the region yesterday. Staff is always involved in these discussions, always. And they're more than happy to provide the insight and fill in the blanks that councillors haven't been able to fill in themselves. Simple as that. Mary, good afternoon.
Is that me?
Yes, Mary, it's you.
Oh, I didn't hear my name.
Hi,
anyway.
Mary, it's you.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. I'm sick of all this heavy stuff.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
Well, I wanted to call yesterday, but make it a hat trick, but I was too late. Anyway, this is just nothing that we've talked about, but you talked about Rosie, pandemic pup, and that little boy that the father or whoever had him out was into his gadget and didn't even see the joy in the little boy. And it brings me to the point where what is wrong with people? Like, if I took my dog for a walk, I talk to them. They're so joyful. Why do you have to bury your head and your ears in something else? Also, I see people running by the ocean where the waves are breaking. It's a beautiful thing. No, they got the gadget. They don't enjoy nature, surroundings, or anything. Is that a rant?
It is a rant.
Well, are you with me on that?
100%.
Well, I just don't know what's the matter with people. Like, you got to take the small joy, and it's not listening on your earbuds.
You know what we got? You know what we have to say about this, Mary?
What?
Come on with your coming on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure, Mike. Have a good day.
You too, Mary. Appreciate it. I did share the story of taking Rosie, the pandemic pup, out for a walk Sunday morning. Very windy, bright and sunny, but very windy. Walking through the park along this little path, and this little boy, couldn't have been 5, I don't think, arms stretched out to his side, enjoying feeling the wind buffeting him back and forth, and he was making noises and just enjoying the moment. And whoever it was, I assume Dad, who was with them, was paying not a tinker's darn of attention, walking several steps ahead, not even looking up. His eyes and his face was so engrossed in the phone. And it made me sad. It made me sad because, to Mary's point, I think this is a problem. We have become rewired to require constant stimulation. Same point that Mary makes about jogging along the beach with the crashing waves that you could be hearing, but instead your earbuds go in. And look, I get it. A lot of times when it comes to working out, because I used to do that, music helps to break the monotony. And it used to be when I would walk the dog that I would have my earbuds in and I'd be listening to something, be it a podcast or music. And my buddy said to me once, "Why do you do that? Like, you're out in nature. And by the way, you're with your dog." And so I switched, and I'm with Mary. I talk to Rosie. I don't know what words she actually understands, but I feel like that's a bit of a bonding experience for me and the pup. And when I'm walking the dog, I'm walking the dog. If I want to listen to something, I'll take the time to listen to something. But I try to do the thing that I'm doing at the time that I'm doing it. I try to be in that moment. And I wish we could do that more, because I'm with Mary. I think there's something a little bit off with this rewiring that we've gone through. But that's just me. What do I know? Robbie English, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I thought I'd just give you a quick call as I'm driving around on a work day. Just to follow up on the conversation we had last night, or the tail end of our conversation. The gentleman that came on first mentioned our orange idiotic friends south of the border, and the whole business with your issue with the Mexican wave. I don't mean to upset you and bring back bad memories, but as Mr. Trump decided that we no longer call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico, just thinking about it last night, are we to now call it the American wave?
No, we're just not supposed to do it anymore, Robbie. Stop it.
Okay, that's okay. I just wanted to double check.
Thank you. Thank you for double checking. Getting my
Take
blood
care.
pressure up. Okay, you too, friend. Bye. I told you about it at the beginning of the show today. Robbie is one of our regulars on Rangers Talk, and I took it square on the chin last night from Rangers Nation because I deserved it. I came out shooting straight from the hip. The fans at the Odd last night started doing the wave in the third period. I think the wave is the dumbest thing that happens at a sporting event. It indicates to me that you are bored out of your mind. It was a 1-goal game. If it's 10-1, fine, do the wave. Sure. But it was a 1-goal game. Your attention should be on that game. That should be the entertainment. If it's not, there's a problem. I don't like the wave. And then I got into curbside loose leaf collection and leaf blowers, and I just spouted off about all of it. And that started our Rangers talk last night. I don't know. I guess I carried over my daytime crankiness into a hockey game, which the Rangers won last night, by the way. I love it when the Rangers win. We'll continue talk back here this afternoon, taking your calls on the issues of the day. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Talkback happens every day between noon and 1, open phone lines. So you can call in and have your say. Could be on the issues of the day. Could be on something you'd like to make the issue of the day. We're all ears and we're here for the conversation. Back to the phones. Shane, good afternoon.
Caller 284 reporting for duty, sir.
There is no caller 284. Are you sure? What's your number, Shane?
I don't remember. You sent it to me in an email the other day. And
Shane.
I'll be darned if I can remember.
Shane, you're supposed to remember the number here.
I know, and I accidentally deleted the email.
Shane. I've got Shane at number 2 228.
Oh, sweet. I'll have to make note of that somewhere.
Shane, make note of it now. Come on.
284, yep.
You're a beauty. You're such a beauty. Okay.
So speaking of beauties,
yes.
I was on, after I sent you that email about poor Gary there the other day, I was going through last night, having a peek at something on Facebook Marketplace. And I all of a sudden in that area that says, people you may know, Mr. Farwell showed up. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going to click on it just to see where he's going. And I love listening to you when I'm back in town because I love hearing your blood pressure go up and down and up and down.
My beloved does not love that. She does not love that. She thinks I better quit this show for the good of my health.
Well, now that you brought that up,
yeah.
I happened to click on your better half just to see, what kind of a young lady would, marry a gentleman like you. And
those are very nice words you just used, gentleman. Yes, lo and behold.
Well, lo and behold, I just happened to have looked at a picture, and she's actually wearing a jersey of the team that shall not be mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
How great is Christmas dinner around your place if there's a hockey game during that weekend?
Shane, opposites attract. Opposites attract, buddy.
Well, I have to give her credit. I am absolutely in love with the team that shall not be mentioned, and I was raised and bottle fed on that team. So the next time they play...
See, it's bad upbringing. Both of you.
I have to laugh, Mike. I wonder what those conversations are like in your house. Anyway, you keep up the good work, sir. I enjoy listening to your show, and you have a great day.
Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Remember your damn number. It's 228. I can't make the list and maintain the list, can I? And write the names down on the list and answer the phone calls and the emails. I do the best that I can. Shane is Farwell's Force official member number 228. It just started as a lark, and we are up to 233 official members. What is Farwell's Force, you ask? It's a force for good. It's a force for change. It's a force to be reckoned with. We get crap done around here. And if you'd like to be an official member, well, you're more than welcome if all I ask in return is that you listen for 15 minutes. 15 minutes every day, minimum. You listen for more? Oh, me love you even more. You listen for 15 minutes a day, you can be a member of Farwell's Force. A force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with. Kyle is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Kyle.
Are you okay?
No. Yes.
Because you're complaining about the wave.
The wave is the stupidest thing, Kyle.
So what's the point of going to a hockey game if I can't enjoy myself with all the other fans and having fun and watching a hockey game? Should we just get rid of the throwing of the pucks to the fans and put a big net around everything too now?
Wait a minute. You just described, you knucklehead, what you do at the game. You watch the game. You have fun with the people around you watching the game.
One of the waves is one of the fun things that you do. Ever since I was a kid, that's what you're supposed to have fun.
No.
I know that you're a Toronto fan and you're a negative right now because the team's not doing very good, and it's going to be another 80 years before you guys win the cup. But it's okay, Mike. Just take a deep breath and enjoy hockey. That's what it's all about.
Kyle.
It's all about having fun. What's up, buddy?
Kyle, what number are you on the official list of Farwell's Force members?
Number 6.
You want me to take you off that list?
You can retire my number.
No, I'm not. I don't know. You will be removed. You'll be banished from the list if you keep this up.
Why? I'm just saying, I enjoy hockey, but I also like to see the fans having fun and doing the wave and getting pucks and, screaming and yelling. And, it brings me back to ever since I was a kid. That's all it was. You go up, you have fun, you go out, you play some mini sticks, you come back, you do the wave, you have your ice, your Dippin' Dots, you watch the hockey game, see some fights, see some scoring, all the action. It's all fun, buddy.
Okay.
That's what hockey's all about. That's what we brought up to watch is hockey. Have fun at the rink, show our passion, have a great time. It was a good game last night, but I think that we were crying over the wave is a little much, Mike, for a hockey game.
Just remember this, okay? You can have fun. I want you to have fun, but remember when you're having that kind of fun, in air quotes, with the wave, you're ruining my fun. Just remember that, okay?
We just have to sit there and watch the whole time and not say a single word. Gotcha. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Mike. Okay,
you're welcome, Kyle. Way to mess with the whole thing. I want you to cheer. I want you to talk to the person sitting next to you. I want you to be involved in all of it. Just don't do the stupid wave because it's stupid. That's why. No, you are. George in Cambridge. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mike, good afternoon. Yeah, I agree with you. The wave is stupid. Like you said, if it's 10-1, it's a blowout. Who cares? No one's really. But if it's a tight game, I don't want to see that wave. I want to see players, play their game.
George, I could not possibly agree more. And I'll tell you what, here's something that happened not long after the wave last night that I fully endorsed. Go Rangers, go. Go Rangers, go. Started spontaneously by somebody just down to my right. So that would have been like Section 15. Way to go, Section 15 at the Memorial Auditorium last night. Fantastic stuff. That's what fans are there to do. Not pay attention to one another standing up and throwing their arms in the air like a bunch of muckety mucks. Don't care for the wave. I do not care for it at all. I will not eat green eggs and ham. You cannot make me. Sam, I am. An update from the 570 News Center. Talkback continues. Stop with the wave stuff already, okay? We got more important fish to fry today. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Noon to 1 every day. You weigh in on the issues of the day or bring your very own issue to the table. It's like gathering around a water cooler and having a chat. Back to the phones we go for Rick. Good afternoon, Rick. You're on Talkback.
Good afternoon, Mike. How's it going, buddy?
Very good, thank you. How's it going with you?
Very good as well.
Good.
If you're going to refer to the Grand Poobah, you have to say exalted Grand Poobah. That is the term. And first you need to oust Sam Slagheap first.
Who, what now?
So then Sam Slagheap. So then you can move on to do your naming. I think Olympia is an awesome name for the resurfacer. If you notice your email, there is a picture there. It's kind of close to our heart out here in the little town of Maryhill.
Of course.
The Olympia is here and just got a good service, and the Schlepp family has been so generous and helpful. And the wave is stupid, absolutely stupid. Gets in our way when they get up and stand in front of us, and we can't watch the hockey game, which is what we're there for. And the other thing is, and I'm 137, so put me down, please. Roll call, 137.
Farwell's Force official member, 137. And that checks out. Rick from Maryhill, I love it.
May not call very often, but I do listen, and so I don't do attendance every day. But one serious little thing about the shootout at the second intermission. Have you seen the sign for the last sponsor? Have you seen the size of the hole that the puck has to go through? It's so small. I don't know. You have to change that when you're the exalted Grand Poobah, too.
Boy, I'm getting a long list of work to do here, Rick.
Yeah, well, don't worry about the leaf blowers because I got 4 of them, for God's sake. I use them everywhere.
Rick, shame on you.
I got gas and electric.
Oh, my gosh.
And DeWalt loves us.
I'll bet they do.
Yeah. We'll see you Friday, probably. Wave at you. See ya.
Look forward to it. Thanks, Rick. I appreciate that. We started the show today, and I just reminded you. I got this lovely call from Eric on the show yesterday.
Good morning, Mike. I know how to solve the financial and all that for our Waterloo region. First, get rid of Waterloo Regional Council. Amalgamate the cities. Elect you as Grand Poobah.
I have said on many an occasion, the only way I will ever consider running for public office, elected office, is if this region amalgamates under one Waterloo government and I can be, or the position of Grand Poobah is created. I would run for the position of Grand Poobah, no other. And I started the show today by letting you know, should that happen, the amalgamation and the creation of the position Grand Poobah, and I were to become said Poobah, I would ban the wave at sporting events, I would ban leaf blowers, and I would end the ridiculous practice of curbside loose leaf collection. We have since added to that list no raisins and butter tarts, and Rick's got even more for me to do now. I got to fix the shootout at the Kitchener Rangers games. My goodness gracious. The list. Maybe I don't want to be Grand Poobah anymore. Sounds like a lot of work. Mark, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I just have a comment today, Mike.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. You played that song last week, Sitting on a Poor Man's Throne.
Copper
by
Penny.
Copper Penny.
Yes, sir.
And it reminded me, Mike, you told a story a while back about that Rastafarian guy who was sitting on an old chair having a beer at the beer store.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
That's what that reminded me of, Mike.
That's funny.
Can you elaborate on that? I love that story.
Sure, I will, Mark. Thanks for the call. Now you're going to have to Martin. I'm going off the top of my head here. Mark's putting me to the test, but I think I've got it right. I believe it was Martin Tarback. Forgive me if I've got that incorrect. But, man, Mark pays attention. I wonder if he's on the list somewhere. He is on the list somewhere. He's Farwell's Force member number 39. Clearly, he listens for more than 15 minutes a day. If I have the name correct, and I think I do, Martin Tarback was a very well-known gentleman in the downtown Kitchener area. Well-known because he was always just wandering the streets. Pretty sure Martin didn't have a place to live. But he was a presence always, and he had his hair in long dreadlocks. When he passed, by the way, so well known was he in our community that dignitaries of all stripes showed up, including the mayor of the city of Kitchener at the time, Barry Verbenovic, attended the funeral service for Martin. And so, anyway, this guy was a fixture. Mostly downtown. Every once in a while, you'd see him have wandered out to a different neighborhood, but mostly downtown. And just a guy, like I said, wandering the streets, whatnot. So I used to do a part-time job with B&D deliveries. It's not what you think. Everybody always joked, oh, booze and drugs. No, it was B for Bob and D for Dave. A couple of stone-cold beauties I'm still friends with today. And it was a part-time job that I picked up that you would deliver alcohol from the beer or liquor store to somebody's house for the delivery charge. B&D deliveries. It was a great part-time job. Loved it. Met a lot of great people. And I was working the downtown route one day, and Martin had scrounged up enough money, I suppose, to get himself a little bottle of something. And it just so happened that at the downtown, we used to call it DTB, Downtown Beer Store, which is no longer there. It's where the transit hub will someday be, King and Victoria area. But those of you of a certain vintage will remember the beer store that was right there on Victoria Street, on King Street by Victoria. So I was working out of that beer store that night, and I'm in the parking lot waiting for my next delivery. And by the dumpster out back was a big old armchair that somebody was obviously getting rid of. It wasn't in the best of shape, but Martin not only put together enough money that day to get himself a bottle of something, he also went and made himself comfortable in that armchair out by the dumpster in back of the downtown beer store. It was a sunny day, not too warm, but sunny. And Martin looked like he was having the best day of his week, maybe his month. He was sitting there, in Mark's words, thinking of that Copper Penny song, on the poor man's throne, just lounged back in that big old armchair. He had his brown paper bag and the bottle inside of it. And I don't think that Martin had a better day that week. I always remembered that about him. Great character from downtown Kitchener. Really was. Thanks for that memory, Mark. I'm glad I could share the story again about the man who was known so well for just quietly wandering the streets of downtown Kitchener all those years ago. Afif, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Hey, just wondering, first question, how would you know, if somebody actually listened to you for 15 minutes?
Afif, I work on the honor system.
Okay. Honor
If you tell me you listen for 15 minutes, I believe you. Call me a fool, but I do.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, that ended abruptly, and I don't know how or why it ended. Here's the thing about Afif. Love the guy, but his phone has got to be one of the worst phones. Like, here, Afif, I'm sure you're still out there listening somewhere. Rogers, that's what you're looking for here, okay? Talk to my friends at Rogers. Tell them Farwell sent you. We'll fix you up, okay? Goodness gracious with that nonsense that you have for a phone. You're either impossible to hear or it just drops midway through. Afif is, of course, referring to the official list of members of Farwell's force. A force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with. All I ask in return is 15 minutes of your ears every day. Your attention, really, every day. More, even better. But 15 minutes, if you're tuning in that much, you can join our growing force, now 233 members strong. We're doing good stuff out there, And if you want to be a part of the goodness, you're more than welcome. Just drop me an email or call in, let me know. Well, it's on the honor system. I take you at your word if you tell me you listen 15 minutes every day. Something else I want to remind you about while we're on the subject of reminding you about things. Our 570 News Radio Tree of Hope 50/50 raffle in support of Family and Children Services of Waterloo Region. $50,000 guaranteed jackpot. Guaranteed. It will not be less. It'll be a lot more, quite frankly. I know how these things go. But $50,000 guaranteed. And you can get a ticket for as little as $10. And of course, if there's a $50,000 guaranteed prize for you, that means at least $50,000, and it will go up for Family and Children Services of Waterloo Region. We do this every Christmas, and we want you to be a part of it. So go to facs5050.com. Get your tickets today. facs5050.com. Get yourself a Tree of Hope 50/50 raffle ticket. Support Family and Children Services of Waterloo Region. And if you get your ticket now, like in the next few minutes, before Friday morning at 8, that's when we're going to make the first early bird draw. But you can qualify for that first early bird draw, which is a Kitchener Rangers VIP experience. You'll get a stick signed by the entire Rangers team this year. You'll get a personal meet and greet with one of the Rangers players. And we're going to put you in the broadcast booth with me and Josh Piercy. We got a seat right there for you. Our bus driver, Moose, usually takes that seat. We'll give it to you. Sit there in the broadcast booth with us. We'll even put you on the air if you're up to it. The Kitchener Rangers VIP experience could be yours if you buy your tickets before Friday. And you're still in the running for the big jackpot. Guaranteed $50,000. Get your tickets now at facs5050.com. Quick break. Back with more Talkback right after this on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Let's get right back to our busy phones this afternoon on Talkback. Rudy is with us. Good afternoon, Rudy.
Yeah, hey, Mike, I've been calling in for some time, and I actually started listening back during the Dave Sturgeon in the morning days.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what Dave Sturgeon used to call me?
What?
The Ferret.
Oh, really?
I was covering news, primarily city councils, and he would say, Farwell always goes out and ferrets out those stories at City Hall. He called me the Ferret. It was a term of affection. I appreciated it.
And one of your old news people used to live a couple of doors down from me, Close. Cheryl Close, or...
Are you joking with me? Chuck. That's her nickname. She'll always be Chuck to me. Charlene Close. Yes. She's still with our sister station, 680 in Toronto.
Yeah, she used to live a couple of doors down from me.
Oh, my gosh.
The reason I'm calling is I want a number now.
Rudy, I'll tell you what, buddy. You deserve a number. You've put in your service, my friend. How's number 234 for you?
That's good. I can remember that.
234.
And I get in the car now every day about 20 to 1. So my times have changed. But, yeah, I listen to at about 22 till 1 o'clock.
I love it. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it.
All right. You have a great day.
You too. Enjoy the rest of it. Rudy always calls towards the end of the show. So I always wonder this about you, like what your day is like based on your listening habits or when you phone in. Because Rudy inevitably is like 5 minutes before the end of the show. And sometimes I don't have time for him, but his name shows up on my screen. So I'm like, what's Rudy doing? Because clearly he's not here at 9 o'clock, right? I wonder these things. These are the things that occupy my mind. Real quick on Charlene Close. Oh, my gosh. That brings back so many memories. My very first job, I referenced it earlier today on the show, in Brantford at a music station. I was doing the overnight shift, and sometimes I'd have to come in a little earlier before midnight. So there was a 10 p.m., just let this sink in, a 10 p.m. newscast and it was a big one. It was like 11 minutes long. It was this big, huge, on music radio back in the mid-1990s. And Charlene and this other fellow in our newsroom in Brantford, Kevin, would co-anchor this big, massive 11-minute newscast on a music station at 10 o'clock at night. Charlene and Kevin, now married. I don't know if they were dating back then. They've been married a long time, and they both came through this station at a different time. That was fond memories for me. And by the way, like both of them, but Chuck in particular, what a talent, what a gift she's got for this business. Taught me so much when I was a wee lad coming in here. Anyway, thanks for that, Rudy. I really appreciate that little trip down memory lane. Rory, you're next on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Mike, I'm usually calling you as my blood level reaches critical mass.
Welcome to my world, pal.
Hey, it's always great to tune in, and when it permits, it's for the full program. But unfortunately, the last couple of days, Mike, regional budget has taken precedence. And I've been tuning in to the YouTube channel the last couple of days, and of course in Wilmot with the budget over the last couple of weeks. And not to certainly leave our municipalities off the hook. There's definitely a message that I think has been forming, certainly over the last couple of years, I guess, really. But the province really is not doing its job to ensure the prosperity of our regional governments. It's become apparent that they are happy to download additional responsibilities to municipalities while taking money away or not increasing money where it's needed with those applicable downloads, especially when it comes to social housing and the province's lack of responsibility when you see other provinces taking more responsibility for housing as a file. And, now that Mr. Harris Jr. is in cabinet, I really hope he's taking these concerns of certainly our region and other municipalities to heart, because they need more funding. And just before I sign off, Mike, agree with you on the leaf collection. Let's add regional Christmas tree collection onto the same list. I don't have a natural tree. I think of the thousands of trees that we destroy for only a couple of weeks of enjoyment. People found a way to brought them in. They can find a way to take them to the landfill themselves. Thanks, Mike. Have a good one, my brother.
Thanks, Rory. Good to hear from you. Could not agree more that the province, especially Ontario, is not pulling its weight, especially when it comes to social housing. It's the only province in all of Canada or territory that downloads the cost of social, affordable, supportive housing onto municipalities. And I don't mean to poo-poo anybody's career aspirations or achievements, but can we just be honest about being a cabinet minister in this provincial government? It's like the Oprah of premiers, right? You get a cabinet post, and you get a cabinet post, and you get a cabinet post. Everybody gets a ding-dang cabinet post. Don't know what it means. But anyway, I digress. Alex, you're on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you? I want to talk about the municipalities, the townships. This is not sustainable, the path that they're on. I have a buddy out by Baden, so I think that's Wilmot.
Yes, it is.
And he's looking at a $16,000 tax bill. He's got a little over an acre with a workshop, whatever. That's not sustainable. So I don't know what they're spending too much money. That's all it is. They're spending too much. They're wasting too much. And I'm telling you, everybody I talk to is upset. And I don't want to cast aspersions, but maybe they want to take a look at what's going on in Mexico right now. You can only push people so far. This is crazy.
I've said the same thing many times. And we are into our emergency alert portion of the broadcast. I'm not hearing it in my headphones, but I feel like it just started somewhere. Did my phone go off yet? I want to make sure this is happening, because I would hate for there to be dead air. My phone hasn't gone off yet, but this is the time that the emergency alert was being tested. And I'm guessing that every word that I'm speaking right now is being missed entirely by you. There's my phone going off now. This is just a test. If you can hear my voice, I don't think you can, because the radio station should be sending out this same signal. And I hear the difference in my headset. But it's a test of our emergency alert system so that when amber alerts and weather notices need to go out, you will be sure to receive them on every possible channel, be it this radio station, your cell phone, your Rogers cell phone, that is, and whatever your favorite TV station is. That's what we're testing right now so that when we need this service, it is available to us. And you know what? We're going to go out of the show today while the emergency alert is being tested. So even though you can't hear me at this moment, I will thank you sincerely for being a part of the show today. I will invite you back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. so we can do it all over again. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.